Haddock. Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday the 31st of October 2010. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Oh, again.
And Robert Kemp.
Woo, boo, hiss, ghost noises, yeah.
Yes, this is...
That's not going to make any sense to anyone. It's like when you're referencing something which doesn't exist any longer.
Well, when we explain it, it'll make more sense. This is our first ever second take, isn't it, I think, in the history of the podcast. Which is pretty impressive, really, considering, like, technical issues haven't been that much of a problem, have they, in the past? As soon as I take over the recording duties, it all goes horribly wrong.
Well, that's because your dad would happen to be retarded with power tools.
Yes, this is we've had problems with ghostly Halloween power cuts caused by the headless chainsaw.
Chainsaw of doom, yeah.
Or at least he would be headless if he keeps using that chainsaw anyway. He's managed to, yesterday he managed to cut into the actual power line that was connected to the chainsaw, because it's electric powered, and for some reason. I was just saying to Zach, what's the point of an electric powered chainsaw? Clearly it's nowhere near as cool as a petrol powered one that goes, I mean...
Maybe they go wrong less.
I mean, that'd be no good for fighting zombies, would it? I mean, in the apocalypse, zombie apocalypse, you'd be in real trouble if you had an electric powered one, because there'd be no power, would there? Because they'd have overwhelmed the power lines. So you'd have a useless chainsaw. Oh,
you can plug it into all those generators that happen to be lying around everywhere, powering random doorways.
Yeah, but then you'd have to run around getting petrol and filling up the generator, like in Left 4 Dead 2. But you'd have a limited range because you could only go as far as the extension cord.
But it wouldn't matter because you'd be defending the generator.
That is true. Yeah, you have to make sure the tank didn't get near the power cord, though. That'd be the trouble.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, we've had a problem. So this is our second time recording. So we may be talking about things that we've already said, mightn't we?
Could be a bit weird.
Yes, so we'll see how we go. So, Halloween, yes, our first ever Halloween podcast. Not that that's a very big deal. I mean,
no.
Now it's getting a bit later. We'll probably have people at the door,
oh god, yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Now it's getting later yet, though.
No, but the small children might be out now.
That's true, yeah. So, but we have Halloween-themed gaming goodness to talk about, don't we? Such as the TF2 Halloween update, which we've already talked about and are about to talk about again. But I think it's probably worth saying.
Yeah, you can field most of this time, Zach. I can't be asked anymore.
Okay.
Well, that's very helpful of you.
Well, you guys have been playing it, right?
I will delegate.
You guys have been playing it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Somewhat.
I mean, how much have you played the new level that's actually included? I mean, is that in all the playlists all the time, or on the servers?
I've been pretty much playing on the Halloween-only servers.
Yeah,
there's special
plenty of servers have switched over to it. It's convenient that the HH Hampshire Heavy servers, they have 5 servers anyway, and normally only 1 and 2 actually are full, so it's we can switch over one of the other ones.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because it always seems to be 1 and 2 when I play on Hampshire Heavies. Which, by the way, if you're listening in the UK, is a really good TF2 servers. They're the ones we.
You don't all go there though. You're
don't all go.
Out,
you ruin it,
and then we won't.
And then then we won't.
Yeah, then we won't be able to get in ever again.
Yeah. Well, they might as well fill up at least another server. That'd be quite nice.
That's true. Well, they normally have a spare.
Give you more choice, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It's server 3. It's server 1 and 2 are the ones that are full, and then server 3 is just a regular server that very rarely gets full. And then server 4 has been changed to no unlocks, old school TF. And then
cool.
server 5
I'm going to play some of that.
Yeah, but that's never full either.
Vanilla Tier 2. I want to play some of that. I mean, that's really cool.
It might be just us in the server.
Yeah, pretty much. I haven't seen anyone in there yet, really. And then server 5 is the one where the regulars have admin access. And no one's ever on that either.
So the TF2 update, it's the first time we've had an NPC, is that right, in TF2? Is that true?
Yeah, boss character, as they call it.
Boss character, yeah. Which is the
horseless, headless horseman.
That's the one. So he has no horse. But he does have a head, which is a pumpkin, right? So calling him headless is a bit of a misnomer.
Well, that's the thing. If you're the one who's lucky enough to kill him, you gain the head, and the description of it is that it's the horseless headless horseman's head, and the description is he had a head after all.
Well, clearly he does. Yeah, that doesn't make much sense. But I guess if you didn't have a head, you'd probably.
Well, no, he probably had a normal head before rather than a giant glowing pumpkin.
Yeah, you probably put a pumpkin on your head to give yourself a semblance of normality, perhaps. So you can walk around in public, it'd be a bit embarrassing not having a head, so...
It would certainly be a talking point at parties where you're just... no, it would be a bit worrying.
A talking point.
Or maybe you'd have to have, swappable pumpkins, you know what I mean? So you'd, turn up to a funeral or something and you're wearing your scary smiley pumpkin. You'd be the sad-faced pumpkin for the day.
Sad-faced pumpkin. I don't know. So he runs around chopping you up, does he? Both teams. Because you're saying it's a capture point map in one direction, is that right? It's quite a nice big level. And we were also saying that it has a nice Halloween skin, but then after Halloween it'll probably be back to kind of the old style
lumber mills
skin of the map.
Lumber mills, corrugated iron and sand.
A strange version of it.
Yeah, all that stuff. I quite like the way that, in the old classic style, the red team has quite a different style to the buildings.
It's wooden style versus...
Yes, I can hear that.
That's a fucking dog. Yeah, basically there's dogs here. There's a German Shepherd, and he's usually quite calm, but presumably trick-or-treaters will be arriving and ringing the doorbell, and he will go insane and scare the crap out of all the kids constantly. So he'll be like, woof, woof. Oh, God.
Trickle-dog.
Trickle-dog! Oh! So terrifying. Poor little kids. Anyway, he's totally harmless as well, but he's just really loud.
Yeah, just open the door on them.
Yeah, that would be really funny. We have a sort of airlock situation with a door, where there's two doors. There's an outer door.
Yeah, okay.
That's the only way you can get in the house without the crazy dog zooming off into the road. So yeah, so it's really dangerous, is it? The horseless headless horseman.
Yeah, it's one hit kill.
And he runs faster than most classes.
I think he's slower than spies. He's definitely slower than scouts, but I've seen a spy keep exactly the same distance from him as he was chasing him around.
Okay, yeah.
Right. It'd be a bit unfair if he was scout speed, because you wouldn't even see him coming, really. Because he'd make a beeline for you. Because most players probably weave and dodge and kind of don't just run directly at you, do they? So
no.
Probably
there's a ginormous rumble, so you do know where he's at.
Oh, is there? Okay.
He's also not that great at navigating the landscape either.
All right. Okay.
Because he can't jump at all. So if you just hop off a ledge, he has to go back around.
Do the TF2 bots, do they jump? Presumably they do.
I don't know, I've never really tried a bot match.
Yeah.
No.
Apparently they're quite good now, the bots.
Apparently they're too good at noticing spies.
Well, apparently they're, as you can imagine, they're really good at some things, ridiculously good at certain kinds of aiming, but then really idiotic about other strategies, which makes sense. Especially, do the bots work with all the unlocks? Or do they only work with
don't know.
Because that would be really hard
take
work.
vanilla weapons.
I think that's right, yeah. You can use stuff against them, but they don't bother with, the huntsman or stuff. Because they just don't have the programming. Yeah, but do you think this is a one-off, or whether there'll be, random NPCs in TF2 levels in the future?
Well, I don't know how well it would fit with anything else apart from, the Halloween monster kind of thing. Doesn't really make sense in any other context of, the TF2 universe.
I don't know, maybe they could have,
maybe a giant
wildlife in the levels, or... just have stuff that walks around getting in the way of your shots, like cows, or...
We can't murder cows, that's bad.
Well, cows in TF2
because obviously killing people is not...
Yeah, but then you could get crafting beef. Cardboard cows walking around, that could be, yeah. Or perhaps they should just replace the trains with a herd of cattle.
That would be brilliant. And you could get stampeded by the cows. That'd be really hilarious. And but you could make a hole in the stampede by using a rocket launcher.
You quick weave a path like Moses with rockets through the cows.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Maybe it could be a scenario where the cows just fill the field or whatever, and you can't walk through them until you blow a path. So at that point, the heavy is useful because you have to mow down all the cows to clear a path for your team. And every now and then they just randomly swarm in, so you could get stuck in this cow field and have to shoot or punch your way out.
So have you been
really funny?
You've been having fun then with the level, the Halloween. Was it fun?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. The level's quite well designed, even Halloween aside. It's just fucking mental when the horseman turns up, because it just turns the balance on its head.
Okay.
It's because
he goes equally for everyone, doesn't he? So there's no advantage to any.
But he usually starts on the defending side, because he comes out of capture points.
Oh, I see.
And then when he kills someone, it tends to pick the next nearest person, so it tends to mow through quite a lot of one team before it randomly switches to another one, to the other team.
Oh, I see. Like a sort of spy going on a backstab rampage, but he can hit you from any angle rather than just one. So he just runs up and kills you all.
It's
kind of
weird
that.
It's sort of a crazy level where it's just when you're playing it, because the whole Halloween. I mean, it's an okay map, I guess. I'm not sure I like it that much. It's a bit sort of bitty. There's all little bits of passageway, and it's all masses of stacked routes really crammed together in space.
It does suffer a little bit from getting stuck on the terrain at times.
Yeah, it does still have that classic. There's there's bits where there's a little sticky out, the planks of the floor on the platform above you stick out an inch, which means you can't jump next to the wall or whatever.
I hate that kind of thing. Because go to a lot of trouble with, once they optimize a level, then they kind of smooth out with invisible walls, don't they? Because in 2-4 or whatever, there's that wagon wheel on the side that people use.
But that's still sticky.
Yeah, but they kind of
not as bad.
Yeah, but there's certain bits, and it's
door frames are the worst.
That. Yeah,
but then you can't smooth door frames really. It's just it's a door frame. It would look really weird if it didn't exist, but they're so annoying to get stuck on.
The little bitty bits on the floor where you have to jump miles in the air to get over something that's an inch high, that kind of needs smoothing. I think that really annoys me.
Yeah, there's those bits on the first doorways on Granary where there's those slopes that are at 90 degrees to the direction you want to move because the doors are parallel to you or whatever.
Yeah. It's kind of the mark of a good game in some ways. Well, not a well tested, because Valve games are generally quite good at that. Because you get the same problems in single player or in any 3D world that you navigate. Can come up with that same kind of problem, can't it?
Yeah. Well, I do still find that in TF. Quite often it's oh fuck, I'm stuck, and it's usually because I've hit a little tiny bit of land. Then there has been the odd occasion where I have actually physically got jammed in objects, which is a bit weird.
Right.
But yeah, but most of the time I do get stuck quite frequently when I'm backpedaling on little bits. So it's TF's not one of the best examples of that.
No.
I mean, Quake is, but then again, they don't try and particularly decorate their levels.
No, they're all fairly smooth, aren't they, in flat corners and stuff. So, I don't know, it depends how you look at it. Because, that's one of the chief objections to not having jump in games. It's not that people want to jump all the time like idiots. It's that when they get stuck on a tiny little bit of level, they can't get over it, Something like in Mass Effect, you get that, don't you, sometimes? Or, apparently, you get it really,
or when
really
levitating
bad in
shepherd occurs.
Yeah. Apparently, Fallout New Vegas is full of getting stuck in the middle of a mountain and
oh,
that's just because of the retarded engine.
Did you watch
the design of the level?
Did you watch the game trailers review?
I haven't yet. But Zach, you're probably going to get that eventually, aren't you? And then we can talk about it properly, I expect.
Yeah, well, that'll be a long time when it's past. That'll be past when it's relevant.
I don't know.
Well,
the bit I was going to say about the bit I was going to say from the review is they actually do show that it's for all its genius, it does seem to be. It suffers from all the same issues as the previous one, so it's still fairly glitchy. Things get stuck in each other, and they actually show a bit of video where he's gone into a room and then he can't open the door to get back out. So he is actually physically stuck in this room, and it's oh fuck. Reload.
Well, the most hilarious one I saw was literally the very start of the game where at the start of the game you get like shot or something, and then you wake up in this kindly man's house or whatever, and he starts talking to you. You know, standard RPG start of game stuff. But as the guy was giving you the initial speech, you know, choosing are you a boy or a girl and all that stuff, his head was rotating around his neck very slowly, like not around exorcist style, like around and around that way, but the axis was like straight through his. It's hard to describe, but it's.
Oh, you mean it was rotating like the head on a daisy would rotate, you know, if you imagined it, rather than sort of round how you normally tell it, like, around the nose, almost.
It's like he was always facing you, but sometimes his head would like go down towards his chest and then come up again.
That's right. It's like as if it was rotating through his nose, but the axis of rotation was actually in his neck, so it would go into his body and back out, and it was so weird. And then when he actually stood up, it just looked so retarded. It was the funniest thing. Oh dear. Anyway, so and apparently that similar thing actually happened occasionally in the original game, so it's obviously carried over.
Yeah, I can't say I have any interest in it again, because the first one really didn't appeal to me. I don't know, there's something, it just... It looked dated when it came out.
I thought that.
And
I started playing
maybe that was the point, but I don't know.
It just seemed... I started playing Fallout 3, and I played maybe half an hour of it. I got out of the vault and I got to Megaton or whatever. And that obviously is not the best advertisement for the whole game, is it?
Apparently.
Because is it? That's not the best advertisement for the entire game, because it's really about getting really immersed and looking around the wasteland and everything.
User in your channel timed out.
Oh dear, what's going on? Oh, we lost Zach, did we?
Yeah, we've lost Zach.
Oh well, I'm sure he'll come back.
Yep, let's carry on.
Okay, but yeah, you get so, and you're in the vault and whatever, but it's like, I don't know, the engine seemed, the graphics seemed crap. All the characters looked really uncanny valley, so they looked really weird.
Well, no, the weird thing was just moving about the world looked funky.
Yeah.
The way they sort of just seemed to hover over everything, and when you sort of move diagonally, their animation would still move forwards or something. It just...
And I was like, okay, so this game has presentation issues, clearly. But then I started I was listening to the dialogue, obviously, and stuff, and it's like, I was thinking, hang on a minute. I mean, the presentation's bad in the graphics, but I can forgive that for a game that's got really good writing and stuff. But the voice acting in this is really bad.
User entered your channel.
Just seems, I don't know. It just didn't seem very good. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I don't know, because it's supposed to have good writing, isn't it?
Well, it's supposed to
be a good story, but...
I think maybe it was just that initial stuff, but that's what's supposed to get you into a game. And if you look at what Mass Effect 2 did at the start of the game, it was absolutely spectacular and really cool. And that's supposed to be a cool bit where you escape the vault or whatever and go out into the world. And it's like you're fighting these weird cockroach things, and everyone stutters around, and I don't know, it didn't really appeal to me at all.
Well, it's because it's the sort of problem with it in Fallout 3 is, I mean, it's okay as a sort of setup for leaving the vault or whatever. Well, it's a bit weird where it's just suddenly this vault you've been in for in your entire goddamn life is really fucked up, cockroaches. Yeah. But then it's I guess it's sort of it becomes more epic later on, where you start to realise that the vaults are evil or whatever. It's you don't realise how significant stuff that happens there is until later on, I suppose.
Yeah, it gets better. Clearly, it must get better because people love it, and I'm probably, if I got into it, I would like it. But I don't know. It just didn't.
I wouldn't have said it was an epic story overall. Really, it was just you need to find this thing to sort of help decontaminate the world, and then you go and find the thing. And then someone knocks you out, and then you have to escape from there and take the thing, and then attach it, and then you win. It's woo.
Well, supposedly the best stuff isn't really the main storyline, it's the fact that you can wander in any direction in this wasteland and you're guaranteed to come across something quite interesting. Would you say that's true?
Well, sort of. You do find random weird things all the time, but sometimes they're a bit too it's this doesn't make any sense, or it's just what the fuck am I looking at? There's the classic where you go into a room under a bridge or under an underpass or whatever. There's just a random sewer entrance or something, and it's just full of plungers. I was like, okay.
plungers. But part of me thinks that if you're going to do this explory thing and find stuff, then I'd rather play Minecraft where it's stuff that's procedurally generated and no one has literally ever seen before. Like some crazy cave or something you've discovered.
Yeah, but then in Minecraft it's just like, it's procedurally generated, but it's still, caves are caves, and mountains are formed in more or less the same way most of the time.
Well, that's the problem. True. Procedurally generated is they have to follow the rules. And
that's true.
They don't, they're never quite as random or as entertaining because they haven't been made.
As like a cave full of plungers would be.
Exactly.
Yeah, so...
Welcome to Cave Plunge.
But I kind of want Zach to play it so that we can talk about it. Because it sounds quite interesting to talk about. New Vegas.
Why does it sound interesting?
Really?
It's just like...
Yeah,
because as I say, I think Zach has the same point of view as me now. It's just a bit... Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the writing in this one, because it's Obsidian. I think they're the guys that did KOTOR 2, aren't they? Are they? I don't know.
Yeah, potentially. And obviously Oblivion, which is supposed to be fairly good on the writing side.
Right, yeah. Because was that... Yeah, it's Bethesda, isn't it? Didn't they do Oblivion?
No, Bethesda are the publisher.
Oh, right, yeah.
Obsidian are the actual devs.
So who's the dev that did the original Fallout 3?
Oh, God. Oh, Fallout 3 was Obsidian as well.
Oh, I thought it was a different developer doing
maybe.
Vegas.
I don't know.
Hang on, I'll go look.
You guys talk. I'll look it up.
If you could check it out.
Just click on it and see.
I think it's a different developer with this using the same engine, and I think it's a similar deal to KOTOR, which was BioWare, and then the sequel was, I think, Obsidian. I'm not sure, but it was like a load of like RPG, veterans from like Black Isle and places like that.
The developer of Fallout 3 was Bethesda Game Studios, and then the publisher was Bethesda Softworks.
Right.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it was in-house, so it's.
But this new one isn't in-house; it's sourced out to
it's
Obsidian.
But Obsidian, as I say, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they did work on Elder Scrolls, and
right. Okay.
So Oblivion was Obsidian's as well.
But I like what they do because they tend to make, like it was the same with KOTOR. They make it their own. They don't just make here's more of the same kind of thing. We're doing it. They put their own spin on things, and their writing tends to be kind of darker and more. I don't know. So that actually attracts me more, because I can forgive all the technical stuff if it is really cool and interesting, and story wise. Although the fact that the technical stuff has stood stock still for 2 years is kind of annoying.
I'm gonna take a step back. I think I'm wrong about Oblivion as well. I think that's in-house.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Balls.
Let's get it right. Oblivion and Fallout 3 are Bethesda, and this is Obsidian. Yes. But can you look up that KOTOR 2 for me?
Where the hell have Obsidian been before then? Yeah. Adventures in Wikipedia.
As well.
This is fun. Yeah. Oh, no, they made some of the original Fallout. That's right, Zach. Didn't they? Like Fallout 2 or something, did they? Or they were involved... Well, some of the members were involved. Anyway.
That's what I thought.
Interesting.
Let's see. Yeah, KOTOR 2, you're correct.
Real.
Knights 2. Alpha Protocol was theirs as well. So.
Oh, yeah. That did not go well, did it?
Well, no. Alpha, what do we call it? Protocol was one of those examples of how to do consequence very well in a game, but actually kind of failed on the game bit.
Yeah. Well,
so that they'll be well practiced in the concept of if you do this, other stuff in the world will happen.
Maybe.
Because KOTOR 2 did this weird thing, like compared to the original, where it would have scenes where you weren't present. Do you see what I mean? So when you left, you were talking to two NPCs, and then you'd leave, and you'd have a scene where they're talking to each other. And that was really strange. I mean, it did some weird stuff. I mean, I wonder what they've done that's weird with this. I guess we'll see.
Eventually. At some point. Maybe it'll be cheap at Christmas or something.
Probably. Anyway, we should probably talk about games we've actually been playing. I think,
that's kind of important.
I think I'm going to ask Zach, what have you been playing?
Well, I guess we can stay on the Halloweenness and talk about the Minecraft update, even though that only came out like literally last night, so I haven't really played it that much.
But you've had a go, have you?
Yes, I had a quick sort of mess around with vaguely some of the new stuff.
So what's going on in the world of Minecraft?
Well,
mining
hang
and
on, there's a train
crafting.
coming. It probably won't be very loud, but I just thought I'd warn you. But yeah, so there's the new sort of landscape generation sort of. I know the proceduralness has been modified somewhat, so now you get like you have deserts, and then you go transition into like forests and into like snow-covered areas or whatever. Although, of course, when you say transition, it's like that can be pretty close together. It's not a very distant. It's not like there's not really necessarily very large areas. They can be like tiny. It's like one tiny little patch of desert.
Yeah, followed by like a miniature strip of forest, and all of a sudden snow.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a smooth-ish transition where it's like the grass is kind of brown at the edge of the desert, and then it gets green, and then it gets really green when you go to the forest and stuff. But you know, it's still just basically totally random. There's no sort of obvious.
It's not like to do with like your latitude, like or whatever. It's hotter in the south or anything like that. It's just you could have a desert in the north, could you? And
snow you could just have the different areas right next to each other and all kinds of weird stuff.
Be on
but that's
weird
just
fucking planet with strange.
That's just how procedural generation works, really.
That's true. But does that give you lots of advantages or fun for like exploring and like making things? Does that actually
not
make it more
really?
fun?
I guess it means you can get snow in a level where you don't have to be necessarily dealing with constant snow, I suppose.
Okay, so
but
you just go to the snowy area. I mean, in the snow ones, previously you had like snow falling all the time, didn't you, from the sky?
Yeah, and then like the snow would regenerate and stuff, and water would freeze.
But does that happen in the new snow zones, in the biomes, whatever?
Apparently, at the moment it doesn't, but it's meant to.
Right.
He's got to fix that.
When you walk into the snowy area, the snow should start falling.
Yeah, and like snow should regenerate and stuff, so you can harvest it or whatever. Get some snow.
I wonder if they'll put weather systems in and like have the clouds actually rain when they go above the mountains and things, and then you can change the mountain ranges to control the weather. That'd be so fun.
That would be kind of awesome. But the trouble with these biomes at the moment is that it's basically pointless because it's like snow is sort of a hassle unless you want snow to make something out of snow. It's just like it inconveniently gets in your way.
Sculptures.
And then, like, the deserts is just like, here's a whole shit ton of sand. Possibly the most useless material ever.
Right. But do you get, like, cactuses you can mine? Or, I say mine,
well,
but you mine trees.
Well, you did get cactuses anyway on sand before,
right.
But now in the deserts you just get a lot of cactuses. It's like,
in
case you want some cactuses, not that those are particularly useful either.
So what's the most useful
plant
biome
stuff
for building?
Well, you just need like the standard biome or the foresty biome where there's lots of trees for the wood, really, and open spaces. Sort of maybe not the depth, the really dense forest. You just want the sort of the sort of normal landscape. It's kind of stupid. That's really best for building. No, not really. They're still quite lumpy.
Oh right, okay. Because if they were flatter, that might provide space for building. So you'd have to mine stuff from the mountains and bring it to the desert to build.
Yeah, I guess so. I think they are slightly flatter. It's kind of hard to tell. I didn't really look that much at the, and it also sort of depends on how it, the procedural generation. You can get like some areas where it's just a large flat expanse, and then there's just like giant random cliff for no reason. So it's hard to tell whether it's operating on the same script or whatever for the deserts.
That's true.
And of course, the other big problem with sand is because it's one of the blocks that gets affected by gravity. Yeah. and if there's a random cave in the desert, or like just under the surface of the desert, because the blocks aren't affected by gravity. Well, the blocks that are generated in the landscape aren't affected by gravity until you interact with a block near them. So it can be hella dangerous. It's like if there's a cave just under the surface of the desert, you wouldn't know until you started digging, and then suddenly an entire chunk of the desert would just collapse around you.
You have like a sandslide situation. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think it's like snow. Then can you get what's it called?
Snow sort of sits on top of blocks, so it's not like an entire block itself, really.
Oh, I see.
It's only sand and gravel that are affected by gravity. For some reason. Earth just floats in midair and all that.
All that stuff. And what
But
else
yeah,
have
and
they
then
added?
well, there's various other sort of smaller things, like you can find pumpkins just lying around, pre-carved pumpkins for some reason, because it's Halloween, I guess.
So
apparently
that's a
you
time
can.
limited thing, is it?
Well, I doubt it. It'll probably just hang around. Maybe they'll get a different skin with a non-face version of them or something.
I think they'll do a Christmas update with like baubles and stuff all over the
Quite possibly.
Christmas trees instead of normal trees.
But then the other major thing that's updated is the ridiculous hell dimension, which is insane.
Well, what is this
It's like-
hell dimension thing then?
Well, it's
called
meant
the
to
slip,
be.
isn't it, or something?
Well, no, now it's called the Nether for some reason.
The Nether.
They just changed the name.
Okay.
But it's meant to be this ridiculous system for like fast travel in the overworld, where you can
Right.
build a portal on the surface, go into the Nether realm, and then if you move like a short distance in the Nether realm and build another portal, it will make a new portal in the above world that's a lot further away. So it's like
I see.
you can use it to travel large distances quicker or something.
But it's dangerous,
Although-
presumably, spending
Well, yeah.
too much time in hell.
At the moment, though, apparently the portal system is a bit dodgy, where it's like if you build the portals too close together, it just sends you back to the same portal and stuff.
Oh, I see.
kind of-
Okay.
It's kind of fucked up. It's because of the way it maps the portal distances between the above and the below. It works on some weird system that people haven't quite figured out yet or something. But anyway,
Okay.
so I made a portal on one of my saves where I happened to have the required materials, because you have to have obsidian, which is really inconvenient to get because you have to dig way down towards the bottom of the world so you can find natural magma rather than a lava flow, which appear a bit higher up. And then you have to drop water on the natural magma so it turns into obsidian, and then you need a diamond pickaxe to be able to mine it.
Bloody hell. That's quite
So
a
is
large barrier for entry just for like
Yeah.
fast travel.
It takes a lot of effort to get to that point. So I conveniently had a save where I already had an obsidian farm where I'd already been digging some out of the magma chamber that I'd got to at the bottom of this mine I had. So I was like, oh look, I've already got some obsidian conveniently, even though I didn't know that this was going to happen at the time.
So
So
why
I built
did you
myself a
make
portal.
it? Did you just make it because you knew you could from the wiki?
Yeah, because it was like, oh, I can get obsidian. It's it's like the end game. It means you've become awesome and dug all the way to the bottom world and found diamonds and lava and an awesome pickaxe and such.
So it's almost like
Yeah.
the pinnacle of the mining tech tree, sort of.
Yeah, pretty much.
But now
It's
it
like,
does
this is
something.
the hardest block you can possibly get.
Ah.
And it's black, of course, which I guess you could use for decorations if you wanted to make something interesting
Can
looking.
you not get like adamantium or mithril or something like that?
No, diamonds is like the last of the ores. Well, apart from redstone, I guess, but that's something totally different. That's not really an ore as such.
What's
That's
redstone?
something- It's for like making circuitry where you could like lay it out in a path and then.
Oh yeah. Because that guy's made like a whole bus, like a 16-bit bus, didn't he?
Yeah.
He built a fully functional ALU.
Yeah. Arithmetic logic unit.
Yes.
So
Correct.
so anyway, I had this obsidian, build the hell portal where it's basically just an empty rectangular frame made out of obsidian, and then you
Yeah.
set it on fire, which creates the portal. Which
So
is kind
obsidian
of awesome.
can be set on fire generally, can it?
No, it's just like
Only when you build it into
if
the
you
shape.
set a fire in the empty space
Oh.
of this shape,
Okay.
it conveniently creates a portal, which has weird like purple particles that kind of flow into it and makes creepy noises when you're near it, which is obviously a bad sign. So you're like, okay. And then you don't walk through the portal. You have to like stand in it, and then your view kind of starts warping crazily, and it's like, and then it just like goes to a loading screen, I guess, because it has to load has to load the Netherworld. So it's like it's effectively loading a new save file, really.
Right, yeah.
So it like teleports you into the Netherworld.
And then what do you see?
You're like, oh fuck! It's just totally. I mean, obviously it was more sort of scary because of not knowing what the fuck was going on. But it's just like, Jesus, what the shit is this? It's full of weird, freaky screaming and weird enemies and stuff, and it's just totally fucked up.
Can you describe the Netherworld then?
Yeah,
Well,
try.
Okay,
Yeah,
like
That doesn't help.
it's like
Yeah.
a huge underground cave.
Okay.
Obviously, I mean, that makes sense. With
But-
like lava flows coming out of the ceiling and lava lakes and stuff, and the normal sort of the landscape seems to be made out of 3 different blocks mainly. There's some gravel, which is just like
Right.
normal. There's this brown shit which makes you walk slowly when you're in it. It's not
Shit,
like
probably.
water. It's not like water. It's like an actual block rather than a fluid. So
Right.
it's like when you're walking across the surface of this block, it slows you down.
Okay.
And then there's the general material, the sort of earth of this place is this sort of red stuff that if it sets on fire, it burns forever. So that's your illumination. There's just like random fires all over the place.
Does it not propagate then? Because otherwise the whole world would be on fire, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't spread. It just
I
sits on
see.
top of the block, burning. And then there's the enemies, where there's apparently these, what I thought were just like random corpse soldiers or whatever, are apparently pig zombies.
Okay.
They come in, like groups and they have swords, and then if you hit one of them, they all start aggroing on you and stuff. But then when you kill them, they drop like pre-cooked meat, which is really useful for health. So that's how you stay alive in the hell world.
I see.
Kill the pig
But
zombies
you don't.
for health.
But if you don't attack them, they don't attack you. Is that right?
Well, it seems like it. I wasn't entirely sure because it's like I walked up to the person and I was like, maybe this thing is. It sort of looked at me and started moving, and I was like, oh shit! So then I stabbed it anyway. So I guess I don't know.
Okay.
And then you get
And
the
there's
floating,
like flying enemies, right?
yeah, the giant floating white evil jellyfish things that are called ghasts or something that make really.
They sound
fucked
so
up.
like. They sound everything in Minecraft, like when you describe it, sounds so terrifying. But when you think about it, it's actually just like blocks, you know. It's
Yeah,
not like
it's a giant cube, basically.
It's like
Some
when you
cute
describe
tentacles
it,
hanging off the bottom.
you make it sound like something out of Crisis 2 or something. Some kind of a huge monster Cthulhu type thing. And in fact, it's like a cube. It's like, holy crap!
They are
What
huge.
is that?
And they make
Yeah.
really creepy screaming noises and shit, and then they fire fireballs at you, which naturally sets the landscape on fire, as well as causing an explosion. So it's like, Jesus! Don't go anywhere near those.
So they're a bit like cacodemons then from Doom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kinda.
White cacodemons.
But yeah, it's just crazy. You also find quite a lot of mushrooms down there, which is another useful resource.
So you can go down there and mine, and then come back up with useful stuff. And you
Yeah. There's like a new type of ore down there as well. This sort of
cool.
golden version of redstone, basically. But I don't think anyone knows what that does yet. It seems
So
you can create. You can create a block. If you get some of that, you can craft it back into the golden block, and those like effectively act as a miniature torch. But that's really expensive.
Ah.
There's obviously going to be some other purpose for it at some point.
So can you like just build a base around the portal inside the Netherworld and like be totally self and mine in the Netherworld?
Well, that's what I was thinking of doing. I was like, oh wait, I could totally just bring in like a bunch of stone or something down here and like build a convenient
Build a fortress, yeah,
temporarily,
in hell, yeah.
and have like a chest down there to store extra health and stuff. So yeah, you probably can. I mean, you could dig and everything. Though I'm not sure, but apparently there this cave that I'm in through my portal, it just looks like one big cave, but apparently there might be like multiple levels, like there might be 3 caves, so it's like you don't know if you're in like the top cave or the bottom cave, so it's like if you dig down too far you might suddenly fall to your death.
Oh, I see. So there's like multiple levels of hell, circles of hell. The river
Yeah,
Styx
Can you-
and everything.
possibly.
When you're digging down, do you have to dig under your feet, or can you dig like in front of you?
No, you can dig like quite a long way away from you, really.
No, that's all right.
It's probably the most important rule in Minecraft is like never dig the block you're standing on or the block directly above you.
Because anything could happen. You could be crushed.
Yeah.
Or you could fall to your death. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, hell is really weird and crazy and a bit dangerous. And
So-
obviously there's still bugs at this point where there's weird problems with it. And the whole idea that it's like for fast travel or whatever is kind of well, the thing is, it doesn't make any sense for single player because it's like, where are you going to go to? It's like, ooh, I can get to a different bit of procedurally generated landscape somewhere far away from my base.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously in multiplayer, it would make sense for everyone could have a separate piece of landscape to work with that was quite far apart, rather than having to stay generally near each other. But unfortunately, Hell and Portals don't work in multiplayer.
Oh. But presumably they'll fix that. I mean,
well, yeah, he's been saying that he wants to, but couldn't get it done in time or work out how to do it immediately. But
Are you still invulnerable in multiplayer, effectively?
Yeah, that hasn't been patched either yet.
Right.
It was meant to, but it didn't get done. Which pissed people off, of course.
Because they're making a new studio, aren't they? But he's hired some people, so hopefully once they get all settled in, then some of this stuff might start getting done.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Spend some of his epic loot on actual business.
Yeah, we'll see. Just need some patches.
What's he gonna call his studios?
Oh, it's already called.
It's gonna be Matt Damon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's a really weird and shitty name.
It is pretty
So
weird.
what else have you been playing, man?
Quite a lot of other stuff, I guess. But I guess we should talk about the mainly important things that are not at all important because it's hella old, naturally, because that's what I do in terms of games.
Yeah, I'm starting.
Well, I suppose we could talk about the slightly more important actual new game first.
Yeah,
Then come to the old game later. I've been playing Super Scribblenauts because I know it seemed like a good idea.
I hear it's like everything from the original game fixed, basically, which is kind of
Well,
annoying for
since I didn't play the original game, don't know.
Yeah. So how is it?
It's sort of entertaining. Everyone said in the reviews of the original where it was like the controls, no, it doesn't work. The controls are horrible. But now it's just like, obviously now they added this thing where it's like you can choose between using the stylus to control it in the old style or using the D-pad to just move them around. And it's like, obviously the D-pad. And that just works fine. Okay then.
And that just works. Yeah. So it's like fixed. But what about all the because obviously the big new thing is the adjectives, isn't it? So is that actually useful, being able to pink Cthulhu's and all that? Is that actually helpful?
Well,
I mean, obviously
tables. Obviously, there's a lot of puzzles that involve, that become easier if you use the right adjectives or whatever. Or, there's adjective levels where it's like you have to solve this with adjectives, obviously.
Ah, I see.
Where you have to make something red to see, like, okay, I'll get a red paintbrush and then paint it red. Lol. Or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But, I mean, obviously there's still... sometimes it's like, well, the thing is, obviously once you've gone through the levels once, you have the stupid sort of challenge mode where it's like, do this level 3 times but without using the same words. So that's sort of the more challenging bit.
Ah.
You can't use the same words or adjectives. So it's like...
As you did before?
Yeah, as you did the first...
Ah, okay. Because they always said about the first game was that you ended up like coming up with 3 basic things that you used to solve all the puzzles, and everyone would have a different set of basic things, but they'd just use those same things over again, like jetpack or
well, I did kind of find that happening to me towards the end, where it's like you go through the sort of more puzzle levels, I guess, that make up the main game, and then there's like these 2 extra sets of levels that are like bonus levels, which are supposedly meant to be like more action orientated and like explosions and stuff. But for those ones, those were the ones that I started using the same objects over and over, because it was like, I don't need anything more than an air vent, a blob of glue, and a remote control helicopter. Yeah. Because it's like, that was my super really cheap tactic that I just used over and over. Because basically, air vents...
It's just pretty much MacGyver training.
Sort of. It's like, air vents cause anything above them to, like, get wafted into the air. Almost anything, no matter how heavy you might think it is. Like a rock? Woof! that flies perfectly well. So it's like, obviously you use air vents to like remove obstacles or whatever, by just levitating them casually. And then you can use the glue to stick the air vents onto the walls or ceilings, obviously, to make them easier to position. And then it's like, how do you get the star right to you? Well, obviously, you create a remote shell helicopter, stick a bit of glue to the remote shell helicopter, stick that to the star right, and then just fly it to you.
Okay.
So that was my general plan.
But you can't do that in the main game, can you?
Well, sometimes you probably could. I don't know, it's like, when it's not a puzzle, where it's not like you have to think of the right words or whatever. If it's just like, get the star right from where it is to where you are.
Right.
Probably air vent and remote control helicopter would help you.
So is it fun?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It gets sort of... It's certainly kind of challenging in places where you have to, the 3 different solutions thing can get difficult, where you're trying to think of... It's basically not so much thinking of new ways to solve the puzzle as it is thinking of synonyms for the words you used last time.
Right, so it's like a thesaurus kind of game.
Yeah, it's like, I used house last time. It's like apartment.
Yeah.
Or home.
Shit.
Or...
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about that one where you had to put the something to sleep or something. So it's like, I can't use my tranquilizer gun. What can I do? I know. Let's just create the moon and make it nighttime.
That was one of the ones where it was like, that was more different solutions. Where it was like, use a tranquilizer gun the first time, then use the moon so it just makes it nighttime. And then like shove the tranquilizer pill in a piece of meat and feed it to the lion.
Which I then tried to suggest to you later, but he wouldn't. This guard wouldn't eat a burger filled with pills.
No, unfortunately, the guard was too clever.
Too clever. So the puzzles are nicely constructed, are they? Are there any like really frustrating ones?
There were a couple. I mean, mainly those bonus stages are the ones that are sort of the problems. It was like, maybe that was just because I was trying the sort of air vent solution, where it's like, I can't quite fit this air vent in here, I'm going to have to like, use another object to zoom it slightly.
Can you not like, say, small air vent then? Or
yeah, you can.
Does that work?
Like, obviously, you make things bigger and smaller by using additives. Although then, of course, when I come to do those advanced levels in, like, the repeat them 3 times, it's like, oh no, I can't use air vents any longer.
That was more lever.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
But obviously, the thing with, like, small is you can come up with multiple cylinders. That's not too difficult.
Or mini. Or...
It's like, tiny, microscopic.
Tiny man.
Yeah,
Quantum
basically.
We were coming up with ways to try and combine the same word, weren't we? So it was like rainbow.
Rainbows?
Yeah, rainbow-coloured rainbow.
Rainbow just makes it like a double rainbow, basically.
Multicoloured rainbow.
I bet that just comes up the same. I bet multicoloured is the same modifier as rainbow.
Could you have a blue rainbow?
That would be weird. Yeah, blue rainbow in. I bet that would look weird.
I mean, the thing is, like, it's the same as the first game in that it sounds like amazing, but then is it amazing? Is the question. Because when you're thinking about it, it's like, oh, I can make a blue rainbow. That'd be awesome. It's the question of when you actually do it in the game, is it cool? And it sounds like on the whole it is with this one.
Yeah, more or less. It's like when you're just going through it's like the actual levels of the game are definitely designed. I mean, there's very little that you actually do have to do with the actual control, like moving Maxwell around.
Right.
Which
That's
is sort of... yeah, that's sort of good, because it's not an amazing, like, platforming control movement.
Yeah.
But obviously all the levels are set up to be, like, word puzzles or whatever. Where you have to think of interesting words to create. And hope that they do what you wanted them to. Because sometimes you end up with really dumb things. It was like, there was this thing where I had to, like, dress up to impress someone or something. And I was like, I need a hat of some kind.
Dinner jacket.
Well, you can have suit and everything. You can probably put dinner jacket, it'll create a suit. Because obviously some words create basically the same item. But it was like, I need a hat that I can wear to impress this guy. So I put in smart hats. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. It'll be a hat that's kind of smart looking.
Oh no,
But
I know this is happening.
Unfortunately, what it managed to create was a living hat that was intelligent and educated and was wearing, in order to show how smart it was wearing a mortarboard. So it was a hat wearing a hat.
It's like, this is almost Team Fortress worthy, this kind of situation.
Yeah.
Could you actually put like modest pile of hats?
Probably not.
Modest hat pile.
But then it got even worse because then it was like, after I put smart hat and it came up with a smart hat, I was like, oh, right, okay, so obviously I need to have a different word that means like smart, because obviously smart is not the for me intelligent.
Yeah.
So then I put fancy hat, and it gave me a hat wearing a tiara.
So you ended up with hats upon hats. It sounds like a Team Fortress player's dream game.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Pretty much.
This is just it. This is the thing. Even if it's not helpful, it's still hilarious if it does something you don't want.
Yeah,
So
sometimes
hang on,
you can put in something that you think
hat,
should work. It's a baseball cap.
Alright, so you get a baseball cap with other kinds of hats on top of it, right?
Yeah.
A multi-boarded baseball cap. Okay, that's crazy. I don't know.
I also put fast bullet, and it just made a bullet that moved around really fast. A little alive bullet that moved around quickly.
So basically, if the game doesn't know what to do with it, it just makes it alive. And then...
Well,
so what
it's
can you
because
do with... Did you experiment with the smart? So you have like smart air vents, like smart,
really intelligent air vents.
Well, it's like
when
you make things alive, they tend to just like when you accidentally make things alive, they just act like the sort of NPC characters. They just sort of walk backwards and forwards unless something else interacts with them. I don't think smart necessarily has any effect on what they do. Probably they like books or something, so you can attract them with books.
Well, that makes sense. So, I don't know, it's a bit weird that an adjective can change a noun from being inanimate to alive.
Yeah, that's what makes it makes sense in some cases, doesn't it? Wasn't there one about a sword you were telling me about where you tried to make a poisoned sword and it made a sword that was poisoned, not a sword that would cause poisoning?
Yeah, you have to put toxic sword if you want a sword that will cause poisoning. For some reason.
Can you make alive objects dead using adjectives? Can you say, like, dead baby or something? And then...
Yes, you totally can. Although most of the time when you put dead, it comes up with, it, like, makes stuff undead.
Undead. Alright, so you get zombie babies.
Yeah.
That's probably more acceptable.
Or zombie longcat. Because longcat totally exists in the game.
Oh, yeah, because there's internet memes. Are there any, like, memes that have happened since the release of the first game that they put
Well, I was trying to think of like trying to pick up more memes I should try because I didn't try any other ones apart from Tacknol, obviously, because I knew that one existed. The inversion of Longcat.
Oh right,
the evil Longcat is Tacknol because it's Longcat.
The black one.
But yeah, so Longcat and Tacknol exist. Yeah, for the epic battle. And then I was like, what else can I put? Can I have like Ceiling Cat?
Well, does that work?
I don't know, I haven't tried it yet. I'll probably do that tonight when I go to Rob's. We can sit there and just come up with stupid shit to do.
Come up with stuff, yeah.
Okay, that'll be fun. Awesome. So, and you've been playing something else than an old game, have you?
Yes. We could probably not talk about this too much. Probably because I've been talking forever so far.
Go for it.
But
I'll get me
I
code.
reinstalled and started playing Black and White 2 again. Because it was like...
Oh, really? After we talked about it?
Yeah, we talked about it, and I was like, oh, well, I'll have to play it now.
You mean you've accidentally stepped into Molyneux's domain willingly?
It's not accidentally willingly. That's one of those things you put in Scribblenauts where it cancels each other out.
It teaches children about double negatives, that game.
Tiny huge man.
or could you make black-white minstrels?
But at least he hasn't like gone out and bought Fable 3, you know. He's not. At least he's like reinstalling an old game, you know.
But on the other hand, this copy of Black and White 2 that I bought at the time it came out was the collector's edition.
Oh God.
Because I don't know, I must have been retarded at that point.
Yeah.
So maybe your faith in Molyneux was still whole at that point. It's like, you can't fail me now. This must be the first game, but fixed, surely.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be better than the original.
And is it?
Because 2 makes everything better.
In quite a lot of ways it is. Although I can tell you some classic sort of black and white style moments that are sort of descriptive of the game. You remember how in Black and White 1 you'd have like when your dudes were dying, it would constantly go death.
Oh yeah.
That was
the other thing. I was talking about how you had that huge population explosion if you kept everybody happy and they all sit on the grass. But of course, they'd all die naturally of old age all the time. So you just heard the better you played the game, the more you'd hear death. Anyway, carry on.
But now in Black and White 2, it gets even worse because now you have birth.
Oh no!
Birth.
It's really creepy and weird.
Yeah, birth. Well, so is it just birth, or do you get things like abortion?
Oh my god!
No, just birth and death.
Birth.
So it's like when your population is getting old, you start hearing death, death, and then you're like, oh shit, I better make some breeders, and then you just get a period where it's like birth, birth.
It's like you go over your. You swoop over your village. It's like sex.
But didn't that used to happen in Beasts and Bumpkins? Do you remember that game where they just sort of like every night they'd shack up and you'd get this really sort of slightly awkward sounding conversation, like where it's like it's cold tonight.
What was that horrible game years ago that we played? It was like a tycoon game, but it was like having a council estate, and you had to get your like horrible like pikeys to like.
Oh, constructor.
Yeah, you had to get them to like pop sprogs, wasn't it? That's the words they used in the game.
Yeah,
that was disgusting. That game. That was weird. Anyway, and the pawn shops, PAWN.
Obviously,
just to be sure. Yeah, and you had to hire like gangsters and thugs and.
That was messed up. Anyway,
and everyone who was either Cockney or "Hey mate,
it was quite wrong. It's like a chav simulator.
It should have been called Slough. Just call it a game Slough.
Chav tycoon.
Yeah.
Making a business from Burberry. Oh wait, hang on.
Oh wait, hang on. Yes.
Burberry's quite an upmarket fashion chain, I think, isn't it? But there you go.
Yeah, Burberry affect caps though. Is the problem.
Yeah.
Burberry have had to ditch their tartan, I think.
Yeah. Anyway.
Or tartan-esque.
So yeah, Black and White 2. I started playing it again. Obviously, I was doing the good side as usual.
Yeah.
Because that's the automatic reaction. But this time I was like, I knew that when you get to level 5, it's like suddenly everything gets ridiculously fighty, where it's like the enemy constantly assaults you with like tons of troops and backbolts and shit, so it's not so easy to just sit there and impress them. So I was like, okay, this time, now that I know that that's coming, I'm going to very specifically make sure I'm like training my creature up for combat and stuff, and buying the correct improvements to prepare for this inevitable doom. But I haven't actually got to that level yet, so I don't know how well that's going to work out. And then I was like, maybe I should play evil instead. Maybe that would be easier.
I bet, right, you'll get there, and because you've tried playing it in a different fashion, there will be all impress mode instead.
No, I'm fairly sure the attacking
do
is
the opposite. Oh, that'd be really clever, actually, in a way. So it just does the opposite of what you are. So it's like, oh fuck.
I think the only person I ever saw with a like really evil, horny-looking temple thing in the original Black and White was Rick.
Word, really. Yeah, no,
yeah. It was horny. Was horny?
Yeah, it got hella spiky.
Spiky's a better word.
What was the name of the thing from Dungeon Keeper? That was called horny, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was kind of a joke, really, in itself, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So horny, ay.
Anyway, same company, but yeah. Yeah, but it was Rob's brother Rick was the only person I managed to see.
Wait, no, Lionhead wasn't behind Dungeon Keeper, was it? That was Bullfrog back in the day. Yeah,
but it's the same. It's Molyneux, isn't it? It's the same people.
Was it?
They left Bullfrog.
Oh.
Bullfrog and
when it got EA-ified and Maxis bought it and then EA bought Maxis, so it was
Lionhead is like a splinter of Bullfrog, if you think about it.
Yeah, like Muckyfoot was the other splinter of Bullfrog.
Oh, was it?
When they went and made Startopia.
Oh, that makes sense.
I really wish they'd stayed about, because Startopia was awesome.
Yeah, all those games have disappeared as well, haven't they? Because they must have been the people doing Theme Hospital.
Theme Hospital.
That's obviously the Muckyfoot guys, isn't it?
Yeah, because they basically made that game over and over. Where it's like Dungeon Keeper, Theme Hospital, Startavia.
Apparently, you know that Transport Tycoon gameplay that's like an open source port of Transport Tycoon. Apparently, there's one for Theme Hospital that's
awesome.
supposed to be really good. Yeah,
I still haven't looked into that one that's supposedly been made for, well, not for Dungeon Keeper, but is like Dungeon Keeper.
The what, Overlord?
No, that weird that I told you about before, the way it's sort of someone like they would do with XCOM is remaking basically making a copy of Dungeon Keeper,
but with all the textures ported over. So it looks the same, but it's completely different engine, like rewritten from the ground up.
I don't know if it even looks the same. It might be. I haven't really looked into it, but as I said,
Presumably
I haven't looked into that since I mentioned it before.
No,
Someone's done
cool.
one for Red Alert too, as well. CNC Red Alert, so you can play that like over modern PCs and stuff.
Speaking of weird sort of side projects, I really hope Sonic 2 HD gets more leverage. It's a really interesting project because it's just a random sort of open source team attempting to recreate Sonic 2, but they're doing a complete reskin. So they've written it, but they're not doing using any original code. They're writing it all from scratch. So they've written an engine. They've got people redesigning all the original artwork, so it looks like the original artwork, but with more pixels. And someone's animated Sonic already, so they're keeping the game feeling exactly the same, other than they've HDified it, and they've got guys working on sort of modernising the music, not in a Sonic 4 crap kind of way, but in a
remix is the original track.
A tasteful remix style. So it's still the same tune, but they've just added stuff to bring it up to date. And I really hope that carries on and gets released, because it is, although they haven't, as far as I can tell, released any builds you can play and stuff. It's getting a lot of support, and it's hopefully it will come to be.
Awesome.
Like most of these projects, unfortunately, don't.
Well, it'll probably get shut down when they realise how much better Sega realise how much better it is than Sonic 4.
Sonic 4.
They'll be like, God damn.
Just buy the team.
Well, that's what they won't do, but they should do. That's the thing that Valve would do, isn't it? Because it's like...
They clearly need these people.
At this point, I think I'd rather see a Western-developed Sonic game, because Western developers did such a good job of Metroid, back with Metroid Prime. It's like...
But at the risk of repeating what I said before, it's not like they can't do it. I don't know where dimps come from. It's not like they can't make good Sonic games. Like anything they did on the handhelds, from Sonic Advance onwards, have been great. The Dimps team are fantastic, but in Sonic 4, for some reason, it's whenever Sonic Team get involved, it's like, I love Sonic Team. They came up with the original concepts. They are gods in my eyes. But today, they suck ass.
They're probably not the same people, are they?
No. They've probably got some of the original team, but no, you're right. Sonic Team probably isn't Sonic Team anymore. It's probably churned over the last 25 odd years, or however long it's been since Sonic. It's 20 years now. So it's a little bit crazy. They have a team that's perfectly capable of making good Sonic games, and they're not utilizing it to its fullest.
Yeah, I don't know. So, any further observations on Black and White, or?
Well, there is this one thing that I'd actually maybe forgotten or blocked out, I guess. From the old days of playing it, but possibly the main problem with Black and White 2 that I forgot about is that you have to buy everything. It's like you get this currency or whatever for completing objectives and side.
So what kind of currency does a god use?
It's called tribute, so I guess
It's like mana, is it?
Well, no.
So Tenacious D has to play every time, so it's just the number of members of Tenacious D you have, is it?
Maybe. But yeah, so you get this cash from doing the missions and the side quests, but then you have to spend that to buy basically everything from houses, armories, and then all the miracles. It's just
so you can't,
this is stupid.
So you can't just grab a tree, tear it up, and build a house out of it. You have to.
Well, no, you can, but only if you have the blueprint for the house. You can get a default house
why your minions
at the start of the game.
Why don't your minions just do this for themselves like normal minions would? It's like why is everyone in Black and White a fucking lazy asshole?
because they need gods to do everything for them. They're obviously incapable somehow.
Duh, we've been born with the stupid gene. And unfortunately, it's propagated across this world. Basically, so you're... Can you not have the intelligence miracle? Oxford power!
But yeah, so you have to buy all this. So really, you have to be kind of careful on how you're doing things. I mean, there's sometimes where it forces you to buy certain things, obviously, where it's like you have to buy an armory so you can make a swordsman platoon actually as an objective in a mission. So it gives you some tribute in order to be able to afford that, so, which is kind of dumb. It's like, why doesn't it just unlock it? But no, you have to go to the menu and buy it after it says to buy it. And yeah, you have to be kind of
in-game tutorial or something. Or...
Well, the first time it does it, yeah, maybe, but then it does that several more times for different things you unlock. But yeah, so you do have to be kind of sort of careful of what you buy, and you have to make sure you buy the things for your correct alignment. And then, of course, you have the problem where it's like you don't know if something is good or evil until you've tried it in some cases. It's like, a skyscraper, is that good or is it evil? It's impressive because it's tall, but it's actually evil because of the population density. It's like you're cramming tons of people into it. So it's like, bad. But impressiveness is useful for the good side. It's like, oh damn, I can't build skyscrapers because they're evil, but they're also impressive. Maybe it balances out. But having to buy them and stuff is definitely the worst place. Well, yeah, you have temples and stuff, and then more posh houses are good as well, on the good instead of evil.
So you have to build fancy houses, but you can't build skyscrapers. This is kind of against this weird sense of modernism, isn't it? It's like, oh yes, we'll give everyone posh, snooty houses, but we won't give them businesses to afford them.
They like posh manor houses or whatever, but you have to if they're too close together, then they become less happy as well. So it's you can't cram people in so much when you're playing good, which is why the skyscrapers are bad, because it's jam tons of people into not very much space.
So how do you... that must make gaining influence as a good guy more difficult than if you were bad. So it's basically playing the game as a bad guy just easier?
I've never done it, apart from I started this second save to maybe try it a bit, but I didn't get very far. But it does seem like it may be the case. It's just possibly just building a giant army and murdering people is probably going to be easier than sitting around and building a city forever.
I think they were trying to make a moral point and say, this game has a meaning, damn it. Playing evil may be easy, but it's not the way to do it.
Maybe. And of course you have your conscience advisor guys, who are always...
they're the same ones?
Yeah, the beard guy and the devil dude.
The devil from the Bronx things. Or something. He's got a thick New York accent, doesn't
he? Yeah, Moida them all. Moida.
Yeah, boss.
Yeah.
He was really cool. I liked him in the original game.
Yeah, that's still fairly good.
Beard guy is rotate the camera and I move the mouse like this, and it's I am never going to do that ever. Change the controls. Oh god.
It still does that basically.
Oh, does it? It has that ridiculous
hold down the middle mouse button and then rotate. It's no, I'm just going to hold down control and then use the arrow keys.
Yeah. But in the original game, it had that ridiculous where you had to move your mouse in you went to the edge of the screen, and then you had to move the mouse in a circle to rotate that, and they thought people would actually play the game like that. It's no. No, you just hold down a button, and then you can move the mouse around that point on the landscape, basically. That's how I did it.
I suppose they were trying to make it accessible to people who can't multitask with both hands.
That's the idea, but the game was quite hard, so I don't see how anyone who couldn't... Anyway.
I guess one of the other good things that I probably should mention, maybe to balance out the bad thing I just mentioned about Black and White 2, sort of one of the good things is the simplified creature training, where it's just basically, when your creature is just sort of idling, it just does random things, and a little thought bubble appears where it says something slightly poop on that tree, and then if you don't do anything, if you just leave it idle, and a few seconds later the thought bubble changes to I'm gonna poop on that tree, and then it does it. But then obviously you can praise it or slap it in order to tell it whether or not to poop on trees. But then the important the important thing about that is you can also bring up like a menu bar that shows all the thoughts your creature has ever had, and then you can pick one of those, and specifically then it goes into creature mode, and it brings up that thought bubble above its head, and you can specifically tell it if you've missed any.
Punish that one. Right.
Yeah, you can fix it if you've missed it doing something bad while you haven't been looking.
Well, you see, that's useful, but I don't think that's particularly good, if you see what I mean, being able to historically praise someone.
It's a bit illogical.
Animals and creatures don't really have that perception, do they? It's not like you can talk to them and say, "Did you poop on the tree?"
No,
it's a bit illogical.
I'm too busy chucking a dude.
But I do like the way that you can you can tell what they're thinking before they do it, because it's like,
how
can you tell what they're thinking? How can you tell what they're thinking? You're fucking God.
That's what I say. The thought bubble system's a good one, especially if it's your creature. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And then you can, presumably, then you know that you're praising the right thing, which was sometimes the issue with the first game. You'd praise them, and it's like, well, actually, I don't appear to be praising them for what I wanted to.
Yeah. And it also has the little speech bubbles that appear when you're praising or punishing them. The little description attached to the bubble changes. So it's like, if you praise them for pooping on trees, it's like, I'll poop on trees as much as I can. It makes them grow better, or whatever. So it's like the wording changes to say random hilarious things. It's like, I'll never eat rocks. It might be bad for my teeth.
I will eat people as much as I please. They are high in protein.
Yeah, probably does say something like that.
Oh, by the way, I did start playing a bit of Fable 2 after I got it for free, and I played the start of it or whatever, and it starts with an intro sequence where a bird poops on your head. That's how it starts. And I was like, this is setting the tone for the game. I was like, great, okay. I mean,
poop is the tone for the game.
Well, no, I wonder if it's actually like that playing the game is like having a bird poop on your head.
It's not that bad, but it's like, and of course you go straight into it, and you get like the regional accents that start immediately. You get Cockney to start off with. You start in a city, and you get your little sister going, "Come on, little sparrow, let's go and do this. Let's go and do that." And then you get that silvery trail, the golden trail that tells you where to go in Fable 2.
Oh yeah.
I find that really weird because it's like, I get the idea. That it's like if you're lost, then it shows you where your next objective is. But then I start relying on it and not exploring, which is kind of counter to what I would normally do in a game. I'd look everywhere, But because you get this golden trail, it's like, go this way. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll bloody go this way. And so I explored, and then I was like the first sort of dungeony bit, a bit later on when you grow up and you become a man or whatever, almost straight away. And you get and it's like, you don't have to follow the trail. Go off and investigate the other areas. But I start kind of wanting to follow the trail because it kind of irritatingly updates. Wherever you go, it's always there following you. I'm not sure you could turn it off, but I don't know if I get what they're trying to do, but I think it should be like, if you're lost, hold down this button and a trail will appear, rather than like, it's always there. Pixie dust, follow it. And I don't know, and some aspects of the presentation are just a bit dodgy. Like, there's definitely clipping into walls and things, and I don't know. Basically, long story short, I played that bit of it, and then I decided to delete it, even though it was free, because I really can't be bothered. So that just shows you, basically.
Wow, that's dramatic.
Yeah, I would rather. I thought, well, I'm getting this completely for free, but I still can't be bothered.
You'd rather have the hard disk space than a game you wouldn't play.
I'd literally rather have the hard disk space than Fable 2. And I don't know, probably if you got really into it. It's another case of something, these things need to grab me and have like a lot of quite high production values, I think. And it just doesn't quite...
I'm doing the psychiatrist sort of just smile and nod moment there. It's just, I see. Do go on.
But seriously, I mean, I get what they're going for, but if a game starts with a bird pooping on your head...
How do you feel about your father?
What?
Sorry. Just carrying on with my not listening psychoanalysis.
Helpful. But if a game starts with a bird pooping on your head, I'm not sure that's a game I can really be bothered to play, to be honest. So there you go. So yeah,
unless it pooped on Duke Nukem and then he pulls out his pistol and shoots it, that would be a bit different.
That would be a bit different, but even then, I don't know.
Fucking birds.
Yeah, not entirely sure if Duke Nukem would pick. me either. There you go. I must be quite specific.
Oh, come
but
on.
Anyway.
We have to see what... The problem is like, if Duke Nukem Forever actually gets released, everyone will buy it just to see what the fuck has happened over the last 15 years.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. Anyway, I'm going to ask Rob what he's been playing.
Yes, you better do.
I'm allowed to talk now, am I? Oh, yeah.
You are.
Okay.
It's your turn.
I wasn't prepared.
It's been Zach's turn for about an hour, so...
I have been diving into Heavy Rain on the PS3.
Ooh,
No, take a step back. PS3 game. Holy crap.
You do have a 3. It's not that.
I know, but it takes up. It doesn't really get the percentage of actual game time on it that everything else does. And admittedly, I'm only playing it because Eddie lent it to me. So
yeah,
it was a convenient thing to do. And okay, first off,
did you get to say Jason a lot?
I did get to say Jason a lot. All the internet memes are true.
That's the most important thing.
Basically, the game basically starts with and Sean at one point as well. The game basically starts with this kid Jason sort of disappearing in a shopping centre, and you get to walk around it shouting Jason on the X button a lot as you try and find where he's gone and try and find the red balloon he was carrying and things like that. But basically there isn't enough. Whenever you get moments like this, and it happens at a few points through the game, there's not enough for all the voice acting in the game. They didn't see it fit to add enough takes of that one sound that are likely to hear a lot. So it's basically Jason. It's a bit shit, and it's there are moments like that. Heavy Rain is fantastic in presentation wise, apart from the odd few moments that come out. Maybe this is going too deep to start with. Heavy Rain is not a game. Let's be honest. It's really not. It's a completely different style of thing to do. It's
like an interactive movie for the first time actually working.
Well, yeah, and they actually describe it themselves as an interactive drama. Like the first achievement you get in the game is basically for starting the game, and you get a trophy saying thank you for supporting interactive drama. And it's,
oh god, that's a bit pretentious, isn't it?
It's a little bit, yeah. So that came. It hit a few bum notes at the start, basically, but. I say that, and the story does hit a few moments, and there are some... When it actually gives you control of the game, it's weird. And because everything else is so slick, it's essentially a ginormous sequence of QuickTime events. So when you get control of it, to move your character about and investigate your environment and stuff, the controls are so odd. I don't know what they were thinking when they came up with this. It's like, in order to move forward, you have to hold down... right 2.
Okay.
So the large right trigger on the control panel on the controller.
So it's like accelerate in a driving game. You have to
basically
hold down
you have to accelerate yourself through the level, and obviously that means because they're trying to keep your movement contextual of what's going on. Often that means really slow saunter through the world, so I'm just going to plod casually about, and oh no, I seem to be miles away from where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to casually plod for another few minutes in this direction. It's often too slow, and you can point yourself in the direction whilst moving with the left stick, but then I can't help but think, couldn't I have just been moving with the left stick if I need to use that as well? I don't know. It seems a bit strange. I think the idea is that when you're standing still, you just use the left stick to move your head, and then that can sometimes highlight different things around you, which you can do. And,
sort of Grim Fandango style almost.
Kinda, yeah.
Interesting thing.
But it would have been better just to have left stick control. Let's be honest. You don't drive your man.
No.
But yeah, so that's a bit of a misstep in my opinion. But the actual actions are quite well done. You use the right stick for the majority of sort of directional motion, say. So in order to do something above you, you push the up stick, or often to push something in front of you, you push down or something to sort of move your arm. And sweeping motions tend to be sort of a rotation around part of the stick, things like that. And you also get different commands like to mash or to hold or to slowly move the stick in the direction, otherwise you'll hurt the person or chuck the baby or something like that. seriously, there is a scene where it asks you to do slow motions and it involves a baby. And I didn't have the heart to just try throw the baby, please, now. Obviously,
baby.
it probably wouldn't, because it probably wouldn't fit into the story. But even so, it's a little bit weird. It's just like, I not really sure if I want if I really want to have control of this right now. It's a bit unnerving. And there are quite a few moments in the game where you actually feel like that. It's like, I'm not entirely sure I want control of this, and it's and sometimes it's because it's boring. There are moments where it asks you, especially the intro to the game, where there's a very long period of mundane actions, presumably to teach you the controls, but there's too much of it. It's like, now brush your teeth by shaking the controller up and down. Now brush your teeth in a different direction by shaking the controller from side to side. Now put the toothbrush down. Now shave yourself by doing a slow motion across your face.
It's like the start of Shenmue, where you have to do loads of really ordinary things like opening drawers and
No. You've actually stepped on what I was going to bring up. It was going to be my main comparison, actually, that you've stolen from me. The game is a modern Shenmue, and without a doubt, it is. It has the same feel. It has the same. You need to go and do these simple tasks and do these things. Admittedly, you don't get the freedom that you did in Shenmue to do what you want when you want, but it's the fact that you are living these guys' lives in pretty much every detail of their life. It's very evocative of the Shenmue feel, and I like that. I think that's great.
Yeah, no,
but it's a little excessive in places, as I say, where it has you doing stupid, repetitive things, and it can be a bit irritating. But that's the bad side of things that you don't want to be doing in the game. The awkward side are moments of. There's a couple of sections of fairly. I wouldn't say it's nasty violence. It is violent, but not on its stuff. It's psychological more than shown, if you see what I mean. Things do happen, but the game is only a 15, so they can't show it in massive detail and things like that. So there are sections where you have to do a physical action. You're not like, I actually don't want to do this, and the game gives you the option to opt out of that scene. There's a consequence. It's like if you don't do it, you don't get a part of the story, or your chances later on in the game are diminished. So it's like, just do it. I don't like it, but just do it. And I say it's like awkward, but that's actually brilliant, because it's putting emotion on me and stuff like that. And it's like, I can't honestly think of many games in the past that have had that effect.
Isn't there a bit where you... I mean, it's been out for a while, but isn't there a bit where you chop off your own finger or something?
Yeah, right? Okay, that was the bit I was getting on about. Yeah. There is a section...
I think that's quite famous. I think you're allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, there is a section of the game where the supposed kidnapper of your son has set you a trial to show how much you can sacrifice, so cut off the end of your fingernail, please. And you get a room with various items in it scattered about the place, and you have to make the choice to pick up the items you want to use, put them down on the table, and then you have to decide the order in which you do things sat at the table. And if you get it wrong, apparently there are potentially consequences of bleeding out or passing out and not getting the things. I don't know. This is the thing. The game, this is the bit I'm not so sure about. There are bits of the game where you know from the outset, and because of what people have been saying, that your actions do have consequence in the world. But sometimes you're not entirely sure whether the choices you've made would have mattered, and I won't know that until I attempt to play it a second time, if I can be asked. But it's...
How long is it then?
The game makes you feel like that. At the moment, I reckon I'm about most of the way through, and I've been playing it for a couple of evenings fairly.
Do you know who the killer is yet?
So, no. I still don't know who it is, and maybe this is one of the things about the multiple endings where apparently the killer goes a different way, or it's someone else. I don't know at this stage. I'm not all the way through, but I'm probably about 5 hours in, something like that. So it's not super short, but it's super short. It is. It's not as short as I was expecting. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
But the story is pretty good. It does have a few bum notes. For instance, the love story in it isn't that great. It doesn't make sense. I can't quite understand where it blossomed from. It just sort of happens, and you're like, Really?
Right, because it needed to happen for the story, right? Not for any actual attraction between the characters that makes sense.
No, it's a bit strange when it happens, and you might have you do get the option to kiss or not kiss at one stage,
and you're like, it doesn't feel right. Don't kiss.
Yeah, I actually pushed the wrong button. I wanted it not to happen, but as soon as I pushed that, it's sort of like the sequence starts, and it's like, oh fuck, what do I do now? And then you get the example of other actions you don't want to do because it's just a bit awkward. For instance, I've been playing it with Gnome watching because she seems to have been, getting into the story a little bit, even if she's not taking part. But it's
all right,
which is a good sign. But it then made me have essentially do the actions to take off a lady's clothes, and it's like, I'm not sure I really want to be doing this in front of my girlfriend.
Okay.
It's like, oh great, now I have to do a rotating motion to take off the bra. Okay. It's just a little strange. And there are pixelated boobs. You have been warned.
You have been warned. It's a shame you're playing it second hand because you don't get to make the little origami thing.
Oh no, we did that anyway. We got a bit of paper and did that. It was the game installs that asks you to make an origami figure.
Yeah, and
which
you
is
get
one of the.
But you get a piece of paper in the box.
In the game box, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing to point out is that I'm playing it traditional style. I'm not using the move to do this. So
yeah.
I'm not aware of the move updates. Yep, the patch is out. There's a special edition of the game you can buy, which has all the stuff built in, all the move stuff built in, which I would recommend if you haven't bought it already. But if if you're thinking of buying it, you might as well pick up the move edition.
I guess so. I mean, although you might be able to get the original one second hand for cheaper than the move edition.
Yeah, probably. And then just download the patch. But the patch is huge. It's like 1.5 gigs. So,
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty epic. But it is good. You do get hooked into the story. I'm not as overly impressed with the technology behind it as I thought I would be. It's not the best looking graphics engine in the world.
But has it got like good facial animation? That's presumably the key.
The facial detail is amazing, and actually, at times the facial animation is so good that it is startling actually in places. It's just like you look at it, the little twitches on the mouth and things like that, you're just like, oh okay, that's properly impressive. However, it only really works on about 50% of the characters. The other 50% just look weird. There's something very wrong about this prostitute character that just, her face just doesn't look right.
Is it uncanny valley?
Women in general just don't look quite right, and the kids look completely dumb because they just stare ahead fairly blankly. And even though the rest of their face, the eyes are a problem for them because obviously the way they've had to film it is they've mocapped the body and the face separately.
Right.
It's not been possible for them to do that in one hit. Presumably there's no real decent way of doing that. So at times there's a sort of disconnect between what the head is doing and what the body is doing. And sometimes the eyes don't seem to be looking in the right place. And maybe that's nitpicking. I mean, it is, for the most part, the animation is good, but it doesn't... There's a certain oddness to everything. Don't get me wrong, there's a couple of characters that are faultless. For instance, the PI that you play, Scott Shelby, there's something about his facial animation that's just faultless. You just look at it and go, yeah, okay, I'm believing that wholeheartedly. His character is really bloody well done, but there are just a few others that look a bit strange. Mouths look a bit weird at times, and there's aliasing issues around the teeth, kind of like how the eyes in Uncharted look a bit strange.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, visually, it's not as good. There are some nice effects, but
how does the dialogue work? Do you choose the dialogue from a tree? Or
sometimes, sometimes you get dialogue options. Generally, when the times you do get options, they don't particularly. Most of the time, it doesn't change how something comes out unless one of the dialogue actions has a sort of notion or an action attached to it. Because sometimes you'll get like intervene or insist and things like that, and depending on what scenario you're using them in, it can have different results.
I see.
For instance, there are times where you have to talk down bad guys, in a sort of Mexican standoff situation, and your prowess or picking the right approach can make them back down. And there are times where there's the quick time event comes up that you don't have to do, and it's like you can make a decision, and you know it's your choice at that point because the game hasn't told you outright, but you get the feel for it. You know where it's going, which is very clever. It's some clever writing in order to make you think that, and like you get the choice whether to shoot a dude or not, basically, and you only got a split second to make that decision, and the outcome will change the bit of the a bit of plot. Sometimes it's inconsequential, sometimes it is. I don't know. That's the thing. It makes you think.
Well, the more it makes you think, the better, I suppose. So.
Yeah, and apparently, I'm told by Eddie, you can kill off the main characters, like if you fail stuff too early on,
and the game
get
continues,
them killed, and then the game carries on. You just bits of the
cool.
story then have to change and adapt, but presumably the story is a bit shorter then because you're not having to follow their escapades. But
no, because that section is gone, presumably because they're dead.
yeah. So there's a number of points where you think, oh god, I could die here. Oh shit.
Cool.
It's, as I say, it's very evocative, but it's not a game. And most of the time, you're just going through the motions to make the movie play.
Do you think there'll be more of these not games? And do you hope there are more?
You know what? I do actually. I hope that Quantic Dream carry on down this route because it is genuinely entertaining, even if it's not a particularly involved form of entertainment. It's better than. It's hard to. I don't know. I find myself. It's probably harder to get bored of it compared to just watching telly. Because in my first stint, I did play for several hours. Just on in one go. Because the story, it's like a good series. The story does draw you in, and because you're acting it, you just want you don't feel like you just the feeling of boredom of sitting there doing nothing doesn't set in.
Right.
You've always got this. Oh, I wonder what happens next. Feel, and I wonder if I just do this. Or
so it's more engaging for you than television is.
Definitely,
but not like as like full engagement as like playing an action game where you're like.
No, true. I couldn't do stints of it. I probably couldn't do stints of it as long as I could Team Fortress or something like that. But it's
right. Yeah.
I find it a tad more engaging than telly. I'm not saying there are some TV series you can just watch for hours and hours, but this is on a par at least with those. It's on the par of the very best in terms of hook.
Right.
But yeah, I would recommend, especially it's a good one as well for people that aren't gamers. Again, I would recommend it for those and who can deal with the story because it is, as the name implies, heavy. It doesn't really offer much in the way of light relief.
Does Naomi have any interest in actually playing it?
Well, she did take over at one part to play a part of the lady character. So I don't know how much of an interest she'd have on her own, but
right, yeah.
If you know what
It's
I mean.
a game for non-gamers who own a PS3.
Yeah, basically.
$599.
That's not saying that some of the QuickTime events are pretty hard. I mean, I've failed a few of the actions, and they do sort of change the course of a fight scene. For instance, different things happen, and if you mess up too many, you could end up in a situation where your life is on the line. Things like that if you don't do them. In fact, there's one fight scene where that happens about 3 or 4 times, where it's like, oh crap! If I fail this, I'm probably going to die. And and some circumstances where you can avoid them completely, and it's like, oh shit, I should have done that. Oh no, I've gotten myself into a fight now. Things like that. So but the sort of quick time events for experienced players can be fairly tough. But fortunately, there's a difficulty setting that describes it in possibly the most. I don't know if this is patronising or not, but it's the default option is I play games regularly. I know my way around the controller, and the easiest option is I don't play games. I have no idea how to use this thing. Basically.
Oh, okay.
So supposedly it scales what you have to do based on your familiarity with the controller.
Oh, that's clever. Okay, that's good.
So
so you played anything else then? Heavy Rain seems awesome. I would like to play that myself if I get a chance.
Yeah, it's at least see it in action because it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can get the idea of what it is, but definitely play it from the start because you will. If you're going to play it from the start because you come into it about halfway through, then obviously plot lines are starting to intertwine and it's one of those few games where I want to be really careful not to say anything because it's all about the story. So there's
nothing else that matters really.
Exactly. The story is the driving element. The rest of it's just superficial in a way. It's nice that it's there, but it's all about the story. So quite cool. Oh, yeah, and I have to. One of the nice moments are when you're having to do stuff that's probably difficult. It usually involves some kind of actually twisted hand motion on the controller. Like there are sections where you're having to, I'll say, angle your body in an awkward fashion, and it involves you it starts with hold L1, and then a notification comes up for hold R2, and then it's hold triangle, hold circle as well. Hold square, and then still twist your hand to hold L2 all at the same time. It's like, oh god, awesome. Because you don't know what's coming up. So you put your hands in a comfortable position, and you start pressing the buttons, and then these other ones come up, and you're like, fuck, how do I do that now?
It's like playing Twister with your controller.
Yeah, but it's quite appropriate really for the scene. So it's like, oh shit. So they're cool.
Oh, awesome.
But yeah, it's good fun.
Any other games you've been playing?
And
this
after
week?
playing it, you will want one of the FBI agent's pair of glasses. They're just awesome. Virtual reality glasses. They're totally
are
cool.
they? Are they?
Called an Airy for some reason. But yeah, that's cool. The other thing I've been playing or played yesterday was I finished Red Faction.
Oh.
And I thought it was going to get interesting. I thought there was going to be some story.
But no.
but no.
There
it's
was
just
some
more of the
story.
same. Well, there was just a tiny bit of story. Like a tiny reveal about
you find out
Samania
about...
and
Yeah. Weird shit.
Which ends up being fairly inconsequential other than they help. You don't actually sort of... Yeah, anyway, without going into too much detail, it doesn't really affect things that much. And
one sec, can you guys talk about that? I'll just be back in a sec.
Interruption. Yeah, but you know what I mean. I don't know whether to go into spoiler territory here or not, but basically,
Well, it is a fairly ancient-ass game.
Yeah, I suppose we could say. Yeah, the stuff with the Marauders at the end, there we go, I've done it. The stuff with the Marauders at the end is just, I don't know, it's non-consequential. The only reason you have that conversation is so they can stand on top of a hill at one point during the last section to hold off the bad guys. That's it. The whole fact that Sam is a Marauder basically means nothing. It could have just as easily not happened and the Red Faction be standing there and it wouldn't have made any difference.
But it's you just kind of knew that was coming anyway because it was really obvious, practically from the start of the game, that she was a Marauder.
Well, yeah, the whole...
Where she's like, don't kill those guys!
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I wonder. But then it's
But then as you're going to the Marauder base, if you stop to do a bit of mining that you see on the way, they attack you, so you kill them anyway, and she's supposed to be with you, but she's not, for some reason. And,
obviously.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. So it's I'm just going to kill your dudes and walk into your place. No harm done.
But it's meant to be some of the backstory and stuff. It's sort of linked into a general overarching... It's maybe a bit too,
It's too obscure.
It feels like there's you need to be in Red Faction 1 or something.
There's an awful lot of backstory. Yeah, you're right. There's an awful lot of backstory that doesn't make itself obvious enough. I mean, you pick up those sound recordings for early colonists and stuff, which even
maybe those don't even.
Which well, no, maybe
That's
not.
Just
but some of them, it
things.
sounds like some of them may have either died or perhaps became the Marauders. Because they were kind of. It gives the impression that these early colonists were marooned, and so presumably became them. And then when we came back, they're like, "Yes, more stuff," things like that. So that would explain the Marauders, but it's all really loosely implied. I thought there was going to be more of a storyline involving the old colonists, like where the fuck the nanoforge came from. The nanoforge only exists as a weapon. It could have been anything. There's no backstory about where it is, what it came from, stuff that would have been interesting. It's and then you just blow shit up and the game ends.
Blow shit up is important.
You know what I mean? There's no sort of real to and fro between the main leaders of the EDF. The fact that they have names is irrelevant. It's like his General Roth. Right. Who? Sorry?
But it's I don't know. It seems like the EDF on Mars don't have any characters, but then you have this General Roth It's like the main character for the EDF you see is like the admiral guy in the spaceship who's coming to Mars, and then he doesn't see you until right at the end where you're like, "Hi," and then he dies. It's like he's not very much of a nemesis because he never really, talks to you or
he doesn't
meets
actually
you.
get
And then it's like General Roth is the bad guy on Mars, but he's just like he's a tank.
Yeah, died quite quickly.
Blow him up.
He doesn't. I think so.
It's like he doesn't do something to. I mean, there's that EDF attack, slightly, it's like earlier where it's like, oh no, they got your leader guy
who doesn't have a name.
He must have revenge.
That guy doesn't actually have a name. It's just like, oh, they've killed your commander, and it's like, who was, even Sam's like, the commander is dead. It's like, doesn't he have a name? You should have known that.
Yeah,
you'd be like, oh my god. Guy. Yeah, it'd be like, oh my god, Bill's dead or something.
But he never really has much to do either. It's like he doesn't exist most of the time.
Yeah,
unlike Sam, who's in the base, where
but we're kind of like mysteriously following his orders for the entire game.
Yeah, he's like, it's the classic. I think I said this when I first talked about Red Faction, but it's like Alec Mercer is just like, I'll do whatever the fuck you tell me to, Mr. Random Commander guy, because apparently you're a commander, and you command me, and I'll go do it.
That's enough for me.
And then I must fight these bad guys because apparently they're bad, even though they don't seem to do anything bad, really. Or like the one time you do see them, they don't really say anything. It's just like, Alec Mercer is being a problem. Well, kill him then.
It's Mason, isn't it? Mercer.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the other game. Prototype.
Oh yeah.
No. Wait, is it Prototype or is it the other one?
Well, Prototype. Well, you probably wouldn't have played in
because
they're PS3.
Talk about them.
Okay.
What was the other one that's not Prototype?
There's
it's
Infamous.
No, so I am thinking about Prototype. It is Alec Mercer in Prototype. Alec Mason in Red Faction.
Name's deal. It's just all sort of. Admittedly, the last couple of missions are fairly cool because basically you get giant tanks and just blow lots of stuff up, and they were of relative difficulty.
Yeah.
Although my big problem with the game is that often when you die in it, there's really nothing you could have done about it. Like a bit of cover that you were standing behind just happens to get destroyed, and there's a fuck ton of people on the other side, and you're like, oh, I'm dead. I had a problem with the sniper mission in EOS, and because I never found that Farsight rifle you were on about, and
that's when you had problems.
Yeah, so I had problems with that. So I'm trying to climb the buildings to get closer to them, and then of course the floor falls in, so I'm falling down to the bottom. And of course they're stuck up the top, so I've then got to try and get somewhere where I can snipe them. And of course that's out in the open, and there's millions of fucking soldiers shooting you from everywhere. So you
got the jetpack though, haven't you?
No, I didn't when I was doing that. So I didn't have it when I did that one.
When do you get the jetpack then?
I got it fairly late.
Mission?
Yeah, well, it's not part of a mission, but you have to get to a certain point before you can have it.
Well, I definitely had the jetpack when I was doing that snipe the meeting in the building.
I might have done actually, but even so, it doesn't. The buildings are quite tall, so using it for the entire length is kind of difficult.
Yeah, you have to stop on each of the floors, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a bit awkward. I was just expecting it to go somewhere, and other than the last two missions, it doesn't.
But it's like. It's all about just blowing shit up.
Well, yeah, but the annoying thing for me is that my favourite two missions were the one from the demo, get a walker, slow lots of shit, and then actually probably the best
and the
bit
crazy
of
chase.
It was the chase. Because as I mentioned before, the enemy driving you when the enemy is driving you, when the enemy is following you, and you can look behind and you can see the AI. It's just they drive like maniacs, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, they
just jumping off things
and.
Yeah, jumping off things, and then you can shoot them, and then they go flying, and yeah, that was really cool. And actually, one of my other favourite bits of the game is the escape from Parker, right at the start. because again, more crazy ass driving. Not just driving, but because people are coming at you from the front, you can see them driving like idiots as well. It just makes it great. And there's not enough of those sections. I mean, there's enough driving. Don't get me wrong, but there's enough boring driving. There's not enough awesome driving.
Yeah, maybe.
And so those are my two favourite bits of the game, and they're quite early on. So it's
you start getting walkers quite a lot towards the end.
Yeah, true, but
those are pretty awesome.
Yeah, they can be. And the explosions the explosions are pretty, especially when stuff and the smoke all hangs around, and it's the explosions are nice. But although I found it a bit weird when you get the artillery gun. And it's all black and white other than the rings around stuff, so you can see what they are, and whether they're bad or good, obviously. But then when you shoot, all the explosions are still in colour. Like, your gun still creates purple explosions on a black and white display, and the buildings and vehicles still have orangey flame. It's a bit odd.
Well, some of it
cool,
need to kind of make things a bit more obvious. It must be like UI or whatever, I guess.
Oh, yeah. It looks cool, but it's a bit odd.
That was a pretty ridiculously stupid sprint. So it's like artillery cannon from a satellite view for some reason.
Yeah, it's like
lots of explosions in that.
Only more awesome.
So you finished Red Faction, haha.
Yeah, there's still stuff to do in the world. Like apparently, I missed 11 guerrilla actions, and I've no idea where they are.
Okay,
probably spawning. It probably makes a bunch more of like the defense missions.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, so basically that means I've got to drive around the world and hope these happen, which I don't want to do. That sounds tedious.
No, stop that, yeah.
We'll just walk outside the safe house and stand around for 5 minutes and see whether anything appear. You don't have to be moving or anything.
Yeah, I've got one flyer to destroy for the achievement, and one. How irritating is that? I'm nearly 40 or 50 mining points short of the target. I don't know where the hell those are going to be. No. So there's stuff left to do, but I don't want to do all the pro times for the vehicles, which are impossible.
Yeah. Pro race times are ridiculous. Even though the pro demolition times are manageable.
Yeah, some of them are hard, but they're not too bad. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think. Although you unlock insane difficulty mode, I don't think I want to go back to that.
No.
It was good. Don't get me wrong. For the money I spent, which was about £3 off the Steam sale, it was good. It's by no means a bad game. It's one of those games that sort of leaves you feeling a bit empty afterwards.
There were specific things that they should have done more of. It's like all the demolition stuff. There should clearly have been a lot more of that. Like specific demolitions as well, like I don't know, work out how it should have been like puzzles or something. Like the demolition things. I'm sure I said this. Like the demolition challenges, but like more built into the actual game. Rather than just being a playground.
I see what you mean. So in the middle of a mission you actually have to take it out in a certain way. Or maybe that's the point though, is that it is supposed to be sandboxy, it is supposed to be do what you want when you want gameplay, and it does succeed that to a point.
Yeah, take out
I think
or whatever.
Yeah, I think they went out and achieved what they wanted to do, which is, it's saying something. I think the developer nailed what they wanted to nail, but there's just a few elements keeping it from being top tier, if you know what I mean. It's not the greatest of the greats, but it's good.
No.
So is that all your playings then for the week?
I think so. Other than because I have Horde out. Yeah, I have Horde out TF this week, and
that's been good stuff. All the Halloween stuff.
It has pretty much just been that. I haven't actually played Halo for a while, so maybe I need to do some more of that.
So I've been playing.
I am finding my second playthrough more enjoyable than the first. It's like all that stuff we talked about learning curve at the start.
Yeah, it's all gone now, isn't it? 'Cause we know what
gone.
we're doing.
Yeah. You start again, even starting from the start in Legendary, it seems fine.
Yeah, like I've been going through Legendary. I'm only like halfway through, but because I kind of stopped. But it's been going fine, to be honest. Like I did the Nightfall mission, and that was fine.
Yeah.
The only trouble with that, I had trouble at the end. Like you get Now, the problem with that is it's a sniper rifle mission basically, isn't it? And the sniper rifle is really powerful, but it's like there's a certain randomness to using the sniper rifle against elites because
they know when you're about to shoot. It seems.
Yeah,
they jink a lot, and it's like, oh fuck.
It depends on how they move, because the trouble is that you've only got so much ammo, and if they regenerate your shields, then you've literally wasted that ammo, and you might as well have not fired at all. So you can hit them 3 times and still have wasted all that ammo, you know? So, but on the other hand, it does work. If you get them that 4th time, then you kill them. So it's worth it, because they're really hard to kill otherwise. But on Legendary, you know? So, and also, like, on that mission, you get quite a few of those jetpack elites who are a lot easier to kill. They only take, like, 1 headshot, those guys.
To offset their maneuverability, they have crappy armor, so it's...
Yeah, so those guys are relatively easy. But the normal elites, you have to kind of... There's a lot of luck involved in how they move and how to kill them that way. But eventually you just have to have patience with that, because they can't kill you from that far away. So you could just keep reloading for the checkpoint and hope you eventually kill them with a sniper rifle, which did sort of work. You know, sometimes I did it that way. But there's a bit like midway through that one where the hunters spawn, and that's fine. But the problem is that like invisible elites spawn at the same time. And there's like 3 of them or something. But luckily, I used the advantage that, you know, we're talking about the multiplayer levels being built into the single player and how that's kind of annoying. But I used that to my advantage in that bit, because that bit is that power station level. And so I knew that if I went to the showers where the grenade launcher is on multiplayer, I knew I could hide there and get them with the shotgun when they came in the door, because I knew I knew from multiplayer that was a good place to hide. So actually worked. That actually worked to my advantage on that bit. And there's also a rocket launcher on that level where the rocket launcher is in the level, you know, down in that stream.
In the waterfall? Yeah.
So if you go down there, you can use that on the hunters.
Yeah, I didn't think of that when I don't think I actually went up to that part of the level during that sequence the first time.
It's another case of like you don't have to go there, but all that geometry is there from the multiplayer. But I went to get the rocket launcher, but by that point, my guy, Shuden, or whatever his name is, had actually killed both the hunters. Well, not by himself. I had been helping him, but I was like, right, I'll use the last rocket to kill the last hunter. But he managed to get him, so I had the rocket launcher for the next section with shade turrets. So I just took out that made it a lot easier, because I just took out. You only get like 2 rockets, but it was enough to kill 2 of the shade turrets. But then where I got stuck was. Yeah, permanently. But where I got stuck was right at the end, because there's like quite a few elites at the end, and I was like completely out of ammo. So, and there's not a lot you can do really. I mean, it took ages basically. That was the only bit where I was doing it over and over again. Was right at the very last checkpoint of the entire mission, and it's just a little glade at the end after you've gone up past the shade turrets, and there's like 3 elites. There's like two gold ones, 1 silver one, and there's also one of the airborne ones over on the left. But
I mean, in heroic, I didn't struggle with that bit. It was the bit with the turrets was a real struggle the first time, because they just keep repopulating the turrets, and it's like crack.
So that's my top tip for that: save the rocket launcher and go and get it and use it against the turrets, and then they won't be able to use it. Yeah, so there you go. That's that bit. And then I thought I'd stop there, because I thought tip of the spear would be a nightmare in Legendary. I assumed, because that was a bit of a pain.
2 massive armies face off. One massive army versus you.
But I actually did it, and it was fine. The only problem was that on like the second AA gun, I managed to get my Warthog destroyed. And if you do that, it doesn't respawn. And you know that bit where the Pelican drops the movable bridge. Over the next bit, and up there's a wraith, there's a bunch of jackals, and there's also a dropship, and that's just flying around and shooting with the thing. And I had to do that on foot. And eventually, what I did was jump up the main problem was the dropship, because I was thinking what I could do is I could use this plasma pistol and I could hijack the wraith. Because I could probably do that on foot using the sprint. If I managed to plasma pistol it, I could probably run up to it and hijack it. But the problem was that the dropship was hovering over, and it has like a concussion rifle, effectively. And on Legendary, that just decimates you if you're in the open. So eventually I had to climb up the rocks and just run.
Question. How do you hijack raves anyway? Because whenever I do it, it always goes to the plant grenade option.
You can do it. I think what you have to do is... you have to kill the gunner, and then you can get in the gunner's seat, and if you do that, then the elite inside the wraith gets out to kill you, and then you kill him, and then, and then when there's no pilot in the wraith, you can jack it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Work with hijacking race, where when you jump up onto the hatch,
yeah,
you like beat it in order to like break it open before you put the grenade in. But then wasn't it where it's like if you just keep beating it, eventually you kill the pilot?
Oh, okay, might be another way.
I don't know.
Anyway, but what I had to...
how it worked at some point.
So eventually, what I did, I just climbed up the rocks on the side, and just ran using my sprint across the bridge, and just pegged it the rest of the way. Like it was, I was clearly supposed to have a warthog, but luckily, like a little bit later was like a roadblock where I was supposed to abandon my warthog anyway. So I was like, oh, I've managed to make it without needing the warthog. And there's another bit, like, at the start of that, you know, with the first AA gun, where you have, like, those hunters and all that nonsense. It's worth noting that at the start of that section, where there's, like, a broken bridge with a broken warthog at the top, that bit checkpoints you whenever you go there. So you can do that gradually by just killing them and coming back to the checkpoint every 3 minutes. So that makes that a lot easier. Yeah. But, yeah, it hasn't been too bad, really. That was my only trouble. Don't get your vehicle killed, otherwise you'll have to hotfoot it everywhere, which is a bit of a pain. But yeah,
you know, this might sound stupid, but I hadn't thought about using the plasma pistol. That would make life against tanks so much easier.
The plasma pistol in general is ridiculously useful if you can hit stuff with it. Like in this game, it's probably the most powerful it's been in Halo, because it's really good against elites, you know, because it takes down their shields. You know, it's quite good against jackals even, and it's actually...
I found it a bit irritating against elites now because they're too good at dodging it.
Yeah, they're very good at dodging it, which is a pain. You have to get pretty close and then back away. But you can kill any elite in 2 shots with a plasma pistol and then a DMR to the head. Even like zealots, practically. I mean, you just have to be really good, I suppose. That's the key. But yeah. So yeah, I played it. So Halo Reach. I played the Force Unleashed 2 demo because I had vague hopes for that, because I played the demo of the first one, and everyone said the story in that was really good. And I played the demo, I was like, well, this is quite fun, but it's just not quite good enough, right, in terms of the action.
Yeah, that's basically that was the general opinion, wasn't it?
Yeah,
there's some
that's
neat
what
ideas.
I thought.
It's just not great execution.
So I thought, okay, because what I wanted was the force chucking ability to be a bit more like the gravity gun in Half-Life, rather than the way it works. Because the way it works is like you force hold the thing, and then you can move it sort of forward and backwards in the plane of the level, and left and right, and then you can kind of fling by pushing and then letting go with the stick. But instead of it actually, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but it's not the way that I would do it, basically. Anyway, I played the Force Unleashed 2 demo, and it's worse. Much worse, I think. Like, the situation seemed completely contrived in Star Wars terms, so that was off on the wrong foot. You're like a clone of the guy from the original game or something.
Right.
I don't know.
The Apprentice 2.
Yeah, sort of. And like Darth Vader, the guy doing the Darth Vader impression for Darth Vader. Well, this is probably the same in the first one, but it's not quite good enough, I don't think. That impression...
not quite as bad as well.
That might have been more hilarious. But anyway, but like the level design just seemed really, really crap. It's just like they're throwing tons of stormtroopers at you, and I don't know. It just
literally.
Well, you can throw.
Just like Darth Vader standing from behind, like throwing stormtroopers at you.
I wish that would be cool. No, I don't know. It just feels like it has no imagination to it, and. I don't know. So, basically, don't get Force Unleashed 2. I haven't played the full game, but I'm pretty sure it'll be shit. Not impressed. They should have improved.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Do not
Breaking
play,
news.
Do not play that shit. I also played the demo for Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
I've downloaded that. I intend on playing that in the presence of Zegel this evening.
I hope you play it, because actually it has 2 races in it. It has one which is cops and one which is,
straight race.
Robbers? Yeah, straight race. But the straight race one doesn't get unlocked unless someone else on your friends list has played the demo. So I couldn't play that yet.
Oh, okay.
But you'll be able to play it, hopefully. Also, it's a time-limited demo.
I've got it on the PS3, though. I downloaded the demo for that. So
okay, so you
probably
won't
help. I'll grab it on Xbox as well.
Yeah, go for it. But yeah, it's time-limited, not in the sense that you can only play it for 20 minutes, but in the sense that this demo will only be available for like a month or something for some reason.
Oh, really? And then the demo will turn itself off?
Yeah, apparently. I'm not sure why. But
Probably
yeah, I
good.
played it.
Maybe they're worried about the blur effect or something, where people just played the demo and didn't buy the game.
Maybe. So
Like me.
In other words, buy Red Faction. Play Red Faction. the demo and do not buy it.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
But so it's supposed to be like it's the Burnout people, isn't it? It's Criterion.
Yeah, Criterions.
So it does feel a
Is it awesome?
bit,
Is the question? Because if it's not awesome, then I will blame EA for everything.
Well, it was quite fun.
It's not awesome. Oh damn!
It's not
EA.
super. I don't know. It's like, I mean, the presentation is kind of hilarious because it's like really swish, swish, clunk, 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 swish, like kind of like we would have made like Pat Beam or something. Everything is like whooshing around crazily. You know, it's very sort of neat
with people making
whoosh
whoosh sound effects with their mouths.
Whoosh,
whoosh, clunk, cock.
Everything go.
That's the sound of the police.
All the menu things go whoosh and sling and just like an
Whoosh.
right film or something. Like everything has a little animation, and do you know what I mean? It's all a bit over the top, and everything's like sideways, like it's traveling extremely fast or something. And it's all I don't know. It just seems a bit strange, but I guess in terms of gameplay, I suppose it is kind of Burnout but
with cops.
real cars and with cops maybe. I mean, it has that similar Burnout thing where you slam the steering wheel
against
hard.
walls.
You grind against walls and you slam the steering wheel hard left and you barely turn, even though you're traveling at like 50 million miles an hour. It has that, and it has quite a nice feeling of like sliding when you're going around the very calm corners on this. Yeah, but I don't know, because it seems like you just have to smash them, just like takedowns in Burnout. I mean, you have these like deployable. I've played the cop one, right? So I have to stop this illegal street race, and basically you can just bash them, and you even have nitro like boost, but you don't have as much as in Burnout. You only have a little bit, so it's more like Need for Speed, I guess, in that respect. But
it hasn't had nitro for a while. I don't think it will. Except for underground stuff.
Well, I was quite surprised when I pressed A and I boosted forward. I was like, hang on, isn't that a Burnout thing? But yeah, so it does that, and then you use the D-pad to deploy like spike strips or helicopter assistance or something. But it's a bit weird because you're steering with the left stick, and then you have to move your finger to the down on the D-pad. But then I went into the options, and very unusually for a console game, you can change the controls, with like a PC style set what you want. Yeah. So I was like, well, B is for headlights. I'm changing that to deploy spike
Or as Russell Howard would say, shit my bed.
Exactly. So I was like, well, I was just going to change this. So I did. But, seemed all right. I'm still not entirely convinced, but, I mean, definitely worth playing the demo. And if you have someone else on Xbox Live play it, you can get double the demos.
Well, this is the thing. One of my next games to tackle is probably going to be Burnout Paradise. Because I bought that a while ago when it was in the EA sale on Steam.
Yeah.
So I will be attempting to play that at some point in the near future, I think, because I've got on the PC at least. There's that and BioShock 2 left to do, and I still don't feel appropriately infused about BioShock to attempt it just yet. I think I've had too much of the run and shooty stuff, so I think I might switch to Burnout as my next thing to tackle.
Fair enough. Well, that'll be interesting. I'm not sure. I wouldn't rather just have a new Burnout game than have this, but I mean, it's up to them, I guess.
Well, maybe they think Burnout has run their course, or Criterion will probably fit into it anyway. But
it's quite nice to have real cars and stuff. That's sort of quite fun. And
maybe that makes the cars more recognisable. Well, I mean, obviously recognisable because they're real cars, but a bit more unique, because that was Burnout's problem in the last few iterations, is that a lot of the cars just ended up looking the same, and you're like, what's he driving? Don't care.
Yeah. So it's quite nice they have the licenses to be able to have like Porsches and things. Although I have to admit, that you get a choice between a Nissan 350Z and like a proper police car, like a Crown Victoria police cruiser. And I was like, I'm totally getting the standard. I don't care if it's slower. I'm going for proper police car.
Bitches.
Yeah, bitches. So I did. That was cool. So yeah, I've been playing that. So that's all the kind of new games I've been playing. What I've actually been playing this week is Grand Theft Auto 4. I thought I'd go back and play some of that. Because I was like, well, I had such a struggle trying to play Fable 2. And I was like, I'm going to play a game that I know I really like. So I went back into Grand Theft Auto 4, and I have like a save file that I've been working on a while back. It's about halfway through the game, and it's actually a bit further than halfway. I realised I'm actually quite close to the end, and because what I wanted to do was go through and understand the story, how it ties into the Lost and Damned stuff. Because I never got all the way through Lost and Damned, so I thought, right, what I'm going to do is I'll just start from the beginning. I'll play all the way to the end, my second playthrough, and then I'll play Lost and Damned all the way through, which I still haven't done. So that was the plan. And of course, things get in the way, but I'm continuing it, and I really damn like that game. I don't know, it's looking a bit dated now, but it's still just so much fun.
It was never on top form graphically back then, but.
Well, it depends how you look at it, really. I mean, you can't demand as much from an open world game.
No, the Cityscape was fairly impressive, but I could have demanded slightly more frames out of it.
Well, that's true. I guess the frame rate is the thing that suffers, but graphically, it's quite nice looking. There's something about the way they do level of detail that's like really nice. Like when things are at a distance, they don't. Obviously, they are lower detail, but it has some kind of effect over it that just looks like it's out of focus, like it's in a film and it's out of the depth of field range or something, just softens it or something that looks really nice. I don't know how they did that, but it makes the world a bit more convincing from a distance. Because the draw distance is actually really long. If you look down a long street, it will actually display it, unlike the previous GTA games.
Oh yeah, that was the biggest problem with San Andreas and stuff before, wasn't it?
Didn't work in the previous
distance
engine.
Was still fairly pants.
But it's
except for when you got that hack that made it like 10 times longer.
Yeah. But that was a bit dodgy, that hack. But but this engine is obviously built for draw distance. Clearly, as you can see in Red Dead Redemption, it has ridiculous draw distance. But it's not having to draw a million buildings, so you can see how that managed it. But yeah. But the story is actually, because it's all got different plot lines going on, and I was trying to remember what they all are, and they happen at different times. So I've been doing the kind of Irish family, the McCreary family stuff. And now I'm getting into the Italian mafia in Alderney, which is like the equivalent of New Jersey.
Jersey.
So it's
a Jersey thing.
It's a Jersey thing. I mean, just the atmosphere in that game is so good. I mean, the controls and stuff compared to now, like Red Dead, is probably plays a lot better in certain ways, but it just has its own unique atmosphere that it's definitely worth. Going back into, and I don't know how many people.
Hey,
Nico,
wanna go bowling, my friend?
I just ignore all those requests. You guys have such a negative attitude, but it's like it's definitely my favorite game. I think, apart from I don't know tier 2 maybe, but I think single player wise, it's probably my top one. That because I love games that let you have like downtime sometimes, like there's bits where you're in action and your life is threatened, but there's bits where they're not, but they're still interesting. Like
that was the bits that weren't interesting for me.
But they are. That's the thing. I mean,
I'm going to go bowling. I'm going to go play darts.
No.
Downtime in that game basically means doing mundane things.
No, not that stuff. No, I just mean driving around the city and doing whatever the hell you want. I don't mean doing the stupid pub games or whatever. I completely ignored them on this playthrough. You don't even have to do them at all if you don't want to. But no, I don't mean that. I just mean like sense of. Like, it happens in Deus Ex, I always talk about this, but there's like big, long combat sections or whatever, and then you back at your base and you look around and you can, hack into people's systems and talk to people and stuff. And some games try and do it. Like, even Half-Life 2 has bits like Black Mesa East where you're safe, but it's only a very short section, and there's nothing interesting to do in that. It's just basically a cutscene. But I like games where you can actually. There are interesting things to do where you're not threatened, make me want to go on to the next bit more. Because if I'm constantly doing a combat thing like Halo, then I get burned out and I have to go and do something to relax outside of playing a computer game.
Yeah, hang on. You're sort of like... It's weird. I know you can do what you want in GTA 4 when you say downtime and stuff, but generally outside of the missions, it's not massively interesting. I mean, other than driving around, you're either dealing with your friends or I don't know, you can cause mayhem, yes, but it's fruitless mayhem. There's no real point to it.
I guess that's true, but you can like get yourself organised for the next bit, and there's all these random missions that pop up. Like You said you'd never seen one.
Get myself organised. I want to just be able to easily say, "Oh, I want some armour, please," rather than have to drive to a bit of town and get the armour from this dude and things like that. It's like it's almost giving me a level of management that I don't want from a game.
Okay, so you'd rather just have mission after mission after mission and have no damn...
I think I'm not saying that. I mean, sort of Red Faction does it okay, in the sense that, you know, when you finish a mission, you go... Admittedly, it's annoying half the time that you have to go back to the safe house and then drive to where you need to be again, which can get fairly old. But you don't have to worry about, I need to go find some armour. I need to go find some guns. It's like, you've just got them. And and there's plenty of stashes about to try and refill them. I don't, you know, it saves you some time and some hassle. Because that's essentially what it is. It boils down to hassle. It's like doing a shopping run. It's... I don't know. That's about. I don't mind what you say, like mission after mission after mission. I don't so much mind having to drive to that mission if there's a few other things I can do on the way other than just drive there. But GTA 4 just had that feeling of I'm driving there to do the mission. Oh no, wait, I can't do that yet. I have to do this other stuff. Ugh. And then, you know, it felt like they were hurdles rather than things I wanted to do.
What you mean, like going to all the bowling stuff?
Well, yeah, not just that. I mean, that's a pretty big hurdle. But it's, you know, some of the checkpointing in it is awful, and some of the, you know, mid-mission stuff is, you know, some of there are some missions that should have checkpoints in them because they're just too long and too irritating to do. Yeah, they put
that in, didn't they? I mean, like in Red Dead, the checkpointing is really generous, and also in Lost and Damned and stuff.
Which have they
added that?
But have they added that to the first game though?
I don't think so. No.
See, they really should, because that was one of the big. They got to the mission that. There's a couple of missions that really basically turned me off because I had to. They started from somewhere that was quite some distance away, so it involved a driving section of nothing, and then you get there, and then
it's difficult,
and then you have to do something hard, and then you get killed pretty quickly, and then you have to do all the driving section again. It's like I don't want to.
That is true.
That got very irritating very fast, and the mission I actually gave up on was the one where you start off with a sniping section. So you have to get to this building, climb up the building yourself. You get to the top, you take out some dudes with the thing. Then you have to go back down again, and then you've got this really difficult sort of assault where
the building site,
which usually ends in me exploding for some reason I couldn't predict. And then you have to do the whole thing again, and it's like, no, sorry, that I draw the line at that. That's crap. Having to do that whole section over and over again is awful. While the rest of the game may be fine, there's the odd mission that's just terrible.
Sometimes I quite like that mission, but I mean, you have to know.
It would be fine. I don't have a problem with the mission in terms of its design, but it needs checkpoints.
Yeah, if
doing it in one go and then dying for something you couldn't predict, like maybe it's mind or something. But the first time I tried it, I just drove in there like a mad fucker, thinking I'll get to the point where I need to be because I'm probably safer in my car than I am getting out trying to fight all these dudes. And then I just exploded, and it's like, okay, I have no idea what the fuck just happened there.
Well, maybe it'd be worth you playing the episodes from Liberty City, because that'll have all the checkpoints and it'll still be GTA.
Maybe. That does sound slightly more interesting. I mean, Lost in the Damned had potentially more appeal simply because it does away with all the chaff. It's Grand Theft Auto, but as I think of it, rather than Grand Theft Auto with, but you can do this and do this and do this. It's like, I don't want to.
Right, okay. I'm going across the other side of the room to shout 3 minutes.
Oh, really? Has it been that long?
That was totally unnecessary.
Why? Because I said 3 minutes. I know, but last time you didn't hear me at all, so I might actually say it.
I mean, we really don't have to do that as a thing.
It's hilarious, though.
It's hilarious, but, you know, I don't think we need to make that a running joke or anything.
Did it guys should stop doing that comedy running joke then? Okay, next time I won't do that.
I used to do that, didn't I?
3 minutes. I mean, you used
to
1 second.
You had to do it for a reason. Yeah. Oh, dear me.
Oh, I love the ending of episode 15 where it's just 1 second.
1 second. Well, this second take has actually worked out fine, hasn't it?
It's all right. I'm going to get into the interesting MMO conversation, and I've been more ranty than I anticipated.
Yeah, I think the stuff that we talked about on the fail recording was actually interesting in a non-sort of specific way. It's like we talk about gays specifically, but that was sort of a more general, conversation. It's a shame that got destroyed.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I hope the listeners don't come away from this feeling as empty as I do about Red Faction. But if we succeed on that front, then it'll be okay.
Okay. Well, perhaps another time we'll go into my cunning plans for a Halo/PlanetSide MMO FPS thing where you can fly pelicans. There, that will be there.
Yeah, you missed it. I'm sure it'll come up again.
That was the preview
MMOs
of what you didn't hear.
That's
I get the feeling I've repeated myself this episode, so there'll probably be, knowing us, it'll come up again, and then we can say it again, and I will just repeat what will happen, so it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried I'm going to be playing a lot of games that I've already played, because I'm already playing GTA, and I really want to play Batman again, and I'm thinking about playing Mass Effect 2 again, so it's going to be lots of old, irrelevant crap for a while.
We haven't covered Batman yet, though, have we?
No, we haven't, so at least we could talk about it from last year.
Sort of did. Not fully. It was like
it's
why
before,
you were midway
I finished
through.
it. I think I finished it before we started doing these podcasts. Right.
I think we mentioned it. We'll have a look at the tag list.
Well, 30 seconds. Thanks, guys, for joining me for another, for our first ever Halloween edition. I wonder how many years we'll be doing this. We'll probably have several. Woo, sorry you missed all our crazy sound effects. And
Rob's sound effects. Dong.
Dong. Excellent. And join us again for another edition of the Saladcast.